serve as a juror in this case?
No.
Okay. Are you familiar with the intersection there at Singleton Road and Indian Trail Road?
That's correct.
All right. How are you familiar with it?
I work around all over the Atlanta area, Gwinnett,
Okay.
or the Metro Atlanta.
You said you walked that area?
No, I work
Worked.
all my work.
I got you. Okay. So just seen it in passing?
I think, yep.
Yes, sir.
Correct.
You have attended a police citizens academy?
That's correct.
Tell me about that.
I like it. It's a 10-week course up in training center, Gwinnett County Police Training,
Yes, sir.
wind the highway,
Why did you decide to do that?
to see what they're going through.
Okay. Did you find it was a good experience?
Very good experience. That's correct. And I did become a volunteer for them
A volunteer for the police department? Excellent. And how long have you done that?
for a couple of years. And I had to work related, so I had to stop it.
I understand. What did you do as a volunteer for the Gwinnett County Police Department?
So rescues, sometimes I had to do the rescue team.
Okay.
And I didn't do much, but I volunteered to do it, but didn't do it.
Okay. Very good. And you have a firearm? You have a firearm that you carry?
No, I don't have a license for it.
You have a license. I got you. Okay. Let's talk about, there was a question that the judge had asked about scheduling,
That's correct.
and that there may be a scheduling issue that you have. Tell me about
For
that.
next week, I'm an electrical contractor. So I have a Florida license in Alabama and Georgia.
Okay.
So I have to take it in Florida for my continuing ed, a seminar, for 2-day seminar.
Okay.
So that satisfies all 3 states. So it's been scheduled for 6 months ago,
All right. So that is taking place in Florida, and you said that's next week?
next week,
When is it next week?
Friday and Saturday, 14 and 15.
14th and 15th. And I assume that's an all-day.
The whole day, yep, 14 hour.
Okay,
course.
so let's talk about, if you're selected to be on this jury and Friday, the 14th comes and you can't go to it, what happens?
Then I might disqualify to take my Florida license.
All right. Are you able to take a different class at some other point or reschedule it for another time or something like that?
I can. So I had to attend another class somewhere in Florida.
Could you say that one more time?
I had to go to Florida to take it.
Yes, sir. And so, but it's
It is possible.
possible.
So
Will
it's
they
not,
have, will they have other upcoming seminars that you can? make for
not the
people?
particular one. I had to go to take it from another provider.
Okay.
So
They offer them in 2024.
2025, I had to do it before the August. That's the renewal.
Okay.
I had to
So,
renew it before August.
okay. So are there options for you to renew it, to go to the class for your continuing education between now and when the renewal is due?
Correct. But this particular one, I had to take my daughter with me, and she's going to take a class too. Because she's been scheduled to do a business class in that seminar.
Okay.
So your daughter is also.
She's,
as well?
that's right.
And so she's going with you.
She's going with me to that class for 1 day. I had to take both days because I have a license.
Okay. I understand. You have the ability to hire and fire in your current
That's
role?
correct.
Okay. Have you ever had to fire? anybody?
That's correct.
All right. How do you make the decision about whether to fire somebody?
The tardiness, the supervisors in the field let me know what the status, what the deal with them, what caused to sleeping on the job sites.
Okay. All right. And you work as it says a low voltage contractor.
Contractor.
Okay. So you work as a supervisor there and people will go out into the field.
That's correct. I own my own business now, so
So this is your business.
this is
All right. Now, you've been here in Gwinnett for 30 years. And originally you're from Sri Lanka. Is that what
that's
you said?
correct. Yeah.
Okay. You have one child, a daughter?
That's correct.
Okay. She's 19.
She's 19.
Okay. She working in the business with you?
No, she go to college, but she helps me as a part-time. But I'm taking her to the seminar to bring her up. She's taking business.
Where'd she go to school at?
DGC,
Where'd
Gwinnett,
she go to high school at?
Collinsville High.
Collinsville. We haven't told you very much about the case, and that's on purpose, but is there anything that you've heard that makes you feel like if you were selected to be on the jury, you couldn't be fair and impartial?
I heard about that incident I heard about 316. That accident. So they found the thing, but I didn't follow up on it.
Okay, so you heard was it on the news?
It's on the news, that's correct.
Okay. Now, so you heard about it on the news. Did you start looking into the case or anything like that?
No.
Okay. Now, just because it's on the news, can you sit and judge the evidence here in court that's presented to make a decision here about from the evidence that's presented?
That's correct.
Okay. And you can be fair and impartial?
Correct.
All right, thank you, sir.
Did you hold just a second,
I
Miss?
just have a couple questions for you.
Sure.
I just wanted to clarify something. So this class that you're going to, is it in Florida?
In Florida, that's correct.
Are you driving or flying?
I'm driving. So I'm planning to go on the 12th.
Oh, okay. So you originally intended on the 12th. Have you already got hotel rooms for the
That's correct.
12th?
I have a hotel. That's correct.
Okay. And this gets your license for all 3 states?
3 states. That's correct.
Okay. Some of the others that may be available, will they qualify for all?
They qualified only for Florida. For Alabama, then I had to take somebody from Alabama
Okay.
provider.
All right. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you very much. If you want to put the microphone down, and if you'll go to the back of the courtroom, and my bailiff, Rosanna, will escort you out, sir.
Thank you.
All right, and if you could bring juror number 20 in. Don't take the microphone.
I'll hand you this microphone.
Good afternoon. If you would just come to one of the middle seats. And we're going to ask you to speak into the microphone so my court reporter can make sure she gets your answers, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Juror 20. You raised your card that you may have a medical condition that would prevent you from serving. Can you tell us about that?
Well, that's spinal cord damage,
Okay.
and I had to operate, I had surgery last year, which I also missed the jury date, because I totally forgot about so much pain in the morning. Get surgery on my neck, took out the disc, put in the steel plates and screws.
Okay. So
But
this,
the damage is, severe damage to my legs and my arm, I said too long. It just starts getting numb.
Okay.
If you're able to get up I've had 4 back surgeries, including the neck. I've got 4 screws and 4 plates. So I get up and down. And so my question to you, sir, is if we take a break every 1.5 hours and you can stand up, does that relieve your pain?
Yeah, but they will start in 15 to 20 minutes, depends on the hour.
So it's better for you to stand or to sit?
Walk.
It's better for you to be moving. Okay.
I work on my feet all day. I eat lunch, standing up, I sit down.
Okay.
An hour a day.
It's the sitting that hurts you. Okay, thank you.
do you take medication? No.
I don't know where it is, as far as the numbness goes.
But you do work?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you do for a living?
Carpenter,
Okay. So you said you will just walk?
Yeah.
Constantly?
constantly.
Is the pain to the point that it prevents you from paying attention to what's going on?
It might, I mean, I can deal with it if I had to, but I mean, yeah, I wouldn't be very comfortable.
Okay. I understand. Would you feel comfortable enough that if you're hurting to raise your hand to kind of let the judge know you need to stand up? Okay. And you are familiar with that area that we talked about of Singleton and Indian Trail?
Yes, I go there every morning and every night. I'm on my hill there. He lives in the apartment complex.
Okay, so that's an employee of yours?
Yes. He's also home right now because he can't go to work, so I'm not working.
Okay, you drive him.
Yes,
Okay. And he lives in Sterling Glen?
yes. I remember when this happened before. I heard it on radio. He told me, so like I picked him up about something. He used to live around here. I think she lived in that complex, didn't she?
Oh, sir, sir, no.
Oh, I'm sorry. He go out, okay, never mind.
Okay. No, that's okay. You can't ask questions. We can ask questions of you, okay? So, but you know about the case.
Yes,
So were you picking him up in 2022? Was he still living there at that time?
I think we need to stop this juror. I mean, you want to go ahead?
That's fine, Ron.
just when we approach.
Certainly. All right, sir. Go ahead.
And sir, your employee, he told you some information about what he thought he knew about the case. Is that correct?
No, he was, she lived around there.
Okay.
See what I got.
Okay. Besides your employee, did you receive any other information about the case from news or TV or newspaper? Okay. Do you think that you would be able to set aside what your employee may have told you and what you heard on the news and listen to the evidence in this case and be fair and impartial? Did your employee tell you that, did your employee know any of the people involved? Okay. And you said you also know the area of Drowning Creek and 316?
Yes.
How do you know that area?
I've been on the Doraville Creek.
Okay.
My son went to UGA for back and forth. Just put that there.
Okay. And I believe you raised your hand that you have some friends or family that work in law enforcement? Your dad worked in law enforcement? Was that here in Indiana? Okay.
Could you pull the microphone up just a little? Thank you so much.
Did your dad talk to you about his work and his cases?
No,
Okay.
he retired now as well, so not really.
Okay. You were little. And your spouse works for the school system?
Yes.
What, does your spouse work at a particular school or the whole, all school?
With elementary school.
Okay. And I think you raised your hand that you've been arrested before?
Yeah.
What was that for?
19-year-old stupid, I was driving, letting a police come off the road, right racing, speeding left to center. I mean,
Okay.
19-year-old stuff.
Okay. Was that here in Gwinnett or somewhere else? Do you believe that law enforcement treated you fairly for that incident?
Yeah.
Okay.
I deserve it.
Okay. No, sir, I think you raised your card about having some experience with drugs.
Oh, yeah.
Can you tell me about that?
I was in high school. And did quite a bit of marijuana,
Okay.
amongst other things.
Okay. Ever anything that you, to the level that you had to get treatment?
No.
Law enforcement ever involved in any of that? And you also had a child that have experiment with drugs?
Yeah. Both of them marijuana.
Okay. And I think you raised your card that you've known someone from an overdose death?
Yeah.
Who was that in relation to you?
Just a friend.
A friend?
One of the reasons why I quit doing drugs, a couple of them actually.
Okay.
So I get pretty bad.
I'm sorry about your loss. How long ago was that you lost them? Okay. But this was someone close to you that you used with, and that's why you stopped? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Was that also in Indiana or? Okay. Sir, if selected, do you believe that you can be fair? If selected, do you think you can be fair and impartial and listen to the evidence?
Yes.
Anything else you think that we should know that prevent you from serving? Thank you.
Does Vince have any questions? Mr. Dobbins?
Good afternoon. So I want to talk about the pain. This trial is expected to last approximately 2 weeks. Do you believe that that would aggravate your pain beyond what you normally experience?
I don't have no idea.
Given just your knowledge of the pain that you experience and your ability to understand what's going on around you when you're experiencing that pain, would you pick yourself to be a juror in this case? Judge, I'm going to object to that question.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that that's a proper question.
Hold on just a second. Hold on just a second, sir.
I just think it's an improper question. Doesn't have anything to do
You
with
can't double team.
Okay.
a juror's own opinion about whether they'd be a good juror or not, knowing nothing about the case or anything like that is, I think, irrelevant.
Judge, I'm specifically asking you in regards to his pain, not his understanding of the case or any of the evidence that would be presented in the case.
I'm not going to let you ask him that question. I'd like you to move on.
You had indicated that you had a friend that overdosed. Were you physically present when that friend overdosed? And then you also, whenever asked during the general question, you stated that you believe my client must have done something wrong, just by the fact that he was here. Do you remember answering to that?
That's the question again.
You believe that my client must have done something wrong, just by the fact that he's here, before this court. Do you remember answering that?
Yeah, I mean, you don't get arrested for no reason. You have to think that something's wrong.
So if the judge were to instruct you that my client has a presumption of innocence until proven guilty by the state, would you be able to listen to the judge's instruction in that regard and hold an opinion that my client is innocent
Yes.
until proven guilty? Okay. So at this point in time, do you have any opinion as to the guilt or innocence of my client?
Patty, will you check and see if the microphone's even on? I don't know. It seems to.
You know what? Got turned off.
I thought it was off.
All right, so based on the pain that you've experienced today and your past experience with the pain, do you have any concerns about being able to give this case your full attention?
Yeah, I could. I mean, I can't tell. Every day is different with this pain. Might not even be any at the point of the trial. I don't know.
All right, thank you. And if you would leave the microphone there, Patty, I want you to leave it on, just put it right, that's great. And if you would go out that way, I'm sorry, we're gonna send you out a way you didn't come in. And if you go with that bailiff. And Patty, I wanna leave the microphone there so it doesn't get turned off. And if you'll bring in juror number 21. All right, sir. Mr. Susan, if you'll come right up into the jury box, Patty, and go to the middle chair where you see where the microphone is. If you'll pick up the microphone and have a seat. My court reporter's taking everything down, so if you don't mind speaking into the microphone. No, you can be seated. Thank you. State may have some questions for you. Go ahead, Mr. Steele.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. All right. Says that you work as a flight attendant.
Correct.
How long have you done that?
Almost 3 years.
Almost 3 years? Very good. And you have a daughter as well, 22-year-old?
Correct.
All right. What does she do?
She's a student.
Okay. What does she study?
For computer science.
Very good. All right. Have you heard anything about the facts of this case from the news or any other source?
Not at all.
You have a family member or close friend that works in law enforcement?
That's in Brazil, but yes.
All right. And who is it to you?
I have a couple of uncles, 2 cousins, and my brother-in-law.
All right, so quite a number of people in your family. All right.
Yes.
What do you have any particular interest in the work that they do and talk to them about cases that they might have?
We like guns. I mean, I like guns.
You like guns?
Yeah,
Okay.
we talk about guns and hunting.
Very good. Not really so much about any cases that they might have police-wise or things like that. People get arrested.
I'm not interested in that kind of thing.
Understood. Have you or a family member or friend been arrested for a crime?
Not for a crime. I've been arrested, but not for a crime.
You've been arrested.
Yes.
Can you tell me about that?
I moved from Florida to Georgia, and I got pulled over because my tag was with Florida. In Florida, all I have to do is change the tag and send a letter to the court. And I thought he would be the same. So I failed to appear in court. I was going out of a gas station. The police said, I'm going to take you to custody. I'm like, what's going on? He never told me anything. He just told me, put your arms back, and kind of handcuffed me, took me to jail.
Okay. Was that in Georgia?
Gwinnett County.
In Gwinnett County. How long ago was that?
Boy, 3 or 4 years ago.
All right. And what ultimately happened?
I stayed in jail for 13 hours.
Now, does that incident affected your opinion of law enforcement in general?
Not in law enforcement in general, but that particular policeman, I think he was over the board. I told him I could put my arm back because I have a problem in my shoulder. My shoulder could be dislocated, and he didn't care.
But he didn't treat you very well. And obviously that entire situation seems somewhat of a misunderstanding. But your opinions about it kind of just focus on that incident with that officer.
Correct.
Don't dislike police, the criminal justice system because of it.
My uncle just kicked my butt if I do. You know, I grew up with my family.
I
Yeah,
understand. And you got to answer to the whole family.
correct.
Have you ever witnessed a crime?
Yes.
All right, what was that?
When I was a child in Brazil, I was playing soccer on the street. The guy just stopped with a motorcycle and killed a guy right in front of me.
Stopped on a motorcycle and killed somebody in front of you?
In front of me.
Did you have to speak to the police about that?
I was just 14 years old now.
So you watched that happen, but you didn't have any involvement with the case or with the police?
Not at all.
Is it, because you witnessed that, is it kind of ingrained in your memory?
No.
No? Okay.
All right.
We haven't told you very much about this case, and that's on purpose, but is there anything that you heard that makes you feel like you couldn't be fair and impartial if you were picked to be a juror on this case?
I didn't hear anything about the case. I honestly don't watch TV. I'm always all over the world, so I just don't watch the news.
All right. So there's nothing, as you sit here today, you haven't made up your mind one way or the other about this case?
I did not.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. I don't have any other questions.
All right. Mr. Souza, if you'll go that way, you can come right down this way. Either way, we'll go with that. Bailiff and Patty, would you please bring juror number 22? Ms. Abdubagal?
Abdul Baki.
Okay,
Yes.
sorry, I tried.
Thank you.
State may have some questions for you.
Good afternoon, Juror 22.
Afternoon.
You are a doctor?
Yes.
What kind of medicine do you practice?
Family.
I'm sorry, I did not hear you, ma'am.
Family medicine. Yes.
And I know you have the mask on you. I just need to talk really,
I can take it off.
okay, sorry. Thank you so much. We just need to make sure we can hear you. You work for a facility or have your own practice?
It's in a facility, a company.
A company? Okay. So doing family medicine, do you work with children and adults?
Yes. Yes.
Or what age?
14 and up.
14 and up. And where's your practice located?
I have a few practices. I'm out of the Battery location, Perimeter, and East Cobb.
Have you worked as a doctor in Gwinnett at all?
No, north of Gwinnett
Okay.
before.
Have you ever done any work in an ER or on trauma?
Not since residency
Okay. Where did you do your residency?
in Pennsylvania.
And have you any experience working as a sexual assault nurse examiner or doing any sexual assault examinations on patients?
No, not for, not following a specific incident of assault.
Okay.
No.
But you've had patients who have been assaulted that have spoken to you.
Yes,
And I believe you also raised your card that you are familiar with strangulation.
yes,
That's from your medical training or personal experience as well.
medical.
Have you had to treat anyone victims of strangulation?
I would say not in my more recent scope, so not probably since residency.
Okay. And your residency, you were in a ER setting?
We rotate through
Okay.
ER amongst others.
Okay. And I believe you also raised your card that you or someone close to you has been a victim of a sexual assault.
That's correct.
Are you able to tell me if that you or someone else?
It's a family member,
Can you tell me their relationship to you?
sibling.
And when that happened to your sibling, were they a child or adult?
Adult.
And the perpetrator of that assault, was that a family member or a stranger?
It was not a family member nor a stranger. It was someone they had an affiliation with.
Okay. So a dating situation or
Yes.
just, okay. Were law enforcement involved for that?
No,
Have you talked to your sibling about the details of that?
so much as they were comfortable with discussing at the time. Yes.
The judge read the charges to you earlier, and if you were to hear evidence of a sexual assault, would you be able to set aside what happened to your sibling and focus on the evidence in this case?
Yes.
I believe you also raised your card that someone close to you, a family member or friend, has been arrested.
That's correct.
Who was that in relation to you?
My husband was arrested on a warrant, but it was expunged.
Okay. Was that here in Gwinnett or somewhere else?
When it occurred, it was downtown. It was out of Gwinnett.
Okay. But there-
Actually, I think it fell within Gwinnett. I believe it was within
Okay.
Gwinnett.
Can you tell me what the charges were initially?
I think it had to do with, at the time, notarizing some type of fraudulent document. But
Okay.
again, that was expunged.
Do you believe that your husband was treated fairly in this situation?
I do.
Anything about that situation that would prevent you from being fair and impartial on this, if selected for this jury?
No.
And have you heard anything about this case in the news or anywhere else?
That was one of the reasons that I raised my hand. I've not seen or heard anything. I'm not sure whether or not I've read something on it. I
Okay.
just don't recall.
Okay. If you are selected, do you think you can set aside anything that you may have heard and be fair and impartial?
Yes.
And I believe you raised your card that you believe marijuana should be legal.
Yes.
Can you explain that? Was that in relation to your work or
Yes.
personal?
Yes, I've seen it used medically, in particular for neurologic conditions such as seizures. And I have quite a few patient scenarios, in particular with cancer, metastatic cancer. I've had quite a few patients in which more traditional medication, in particular in the opioid realm, have been used, and it lacks long-term ability to really treat pain appropriately, and in which patients have turned to use of THC, which has helped adequately. And I think it is a matter of time that it will eventually be looked at for, specific cases for medicine.
Anything else do you think that we should know that would prevent you from serving?
No, I did have one question. I wasn't sure if you mentioned, and you may not have a medical assistant, Kayla Johnson. I thought maybe that was one of the, but I could be wrong. If that was amongst the names that was referenced earlier.
Kayla Johnson?
Kayla Johnson? No, okay.
Do you know anyone who works in law enforcement in Gwinnett?
No,
Thank you.
thank you.
Mr. Pence, have any questions?
I don't believe I have anything. Thank you, doctor.
Thank you.
All right, if you would just put the microphone there, and if you'll go with my bailiff in the back of the courtroom back to jury assembly, and Patty, if you could bring juror number 23 in. Thank you. If you'll just come down where the microphone is, Ms. Park, you'll sit right there and pick up the microphone. And if you'll make sure it's up close to your mouth so we can hear your answers, okay? Thank you.
Good afternoon, Park, how are you?
Yes, sir. Yes.
You can bring it a little closer.
Okay.
English is your second language?
Yes.
What is your first language?
Korea.
And I asked if anybody felt they would have a hard time being a juror, understanding what's going on in the courtroom due to the language barrier. Do you feel that way?
I cannot speak English, but little bit, and then I cannot understand well, so very hard. Sorry.
How long have you been learning English?
Be 10 years, but yeah,
And how long have you been here in the United States?
20 years ago. 20 years.
20 years?
Yes.
20 years, okay, sorry. This morning, when I was asking questions to everyone, were you able to understand what I asked?
I cannot understand, but little bit understand.
A little bit. Okay, all right. I don't think I have any other questions for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
No other questions. Thank you.
All right. Ms. Park, if you'll just leave the microphone on right there on the shelf, and if you would, just wait outside until my bailiff comes and she will take you back to the jury assembly. If you'll bring in juror number 24. Good afternoon, Ms. Foster. If you would pick up the microphone, and I may have to ask you to pull the mask down. We just need to be able to hear you when you answer, okay?
Hi, juror 24.
Hello. Hello.
Do you work for a living?
Yes, I do.
What do you do?
Substitute teaching.
Okay. Here in Gwinnett?
Yes.
And what grade levels?
Elementary.
How long have you been teaching?
For about 16 years.
Always substitute?
Yes.
Does that mean you can go to any elementary school in the county?
Yes, it does.
And I believe you raised your card that you may have some religious reasons or moral reasons that you are concerned about serving as a jury. Can you tell me about that?
Yes, I'm willing to fulfill my civic duty, but I can't, in good conscience, do so on a trial that involves the taking of a human life.
I'm one of Jehovah's Witnesses, and I live based on Bible principles, and it would be difficult for me to serve based on the nature of the case. And to be fair and impartial would be challenging because my opinions are shaped by Bible principles. And if the law conflicts with the scriptures, then my scripturally trained conscience is what I would stick
Ma'am, are
to.
you reading from something?
Yes, I
What are
am.
you reading from?
My notes.
Okay, all right.
So did you write those before you came?
I wrote them after learning that it was a murder trial.
Okay. Have you served on a jury before?
No,
Have you done this process and been called before?
I've gotten a summons, but I haven't been called.
And I understand your faith. Do you think that you could, if the judge were to tell you to make a decision based on what you hear and see in this courtroom and to try your best to listen to the evidence and apply the law, do you think you could follow the judge's instructions for that?
As long as as long as the law doesn't conflict with my conscience.
The law conflicting with your conscience, if the judge were to tell you that you are to make a decision based on the law that she gives you, which is the law of Georgia, could you follow her instructions?
If it did not conflict with my conscience.
And you said that you heard the charges read this morning. And do you believe that those charges conflict with your conscience?
Well, I'm kind of wary of
questions for you. No questions, okay. Sir, if you could put the microphone on the ledge and you'll go with my bailiff right there, she'll take that very seriously. Thank you. Just come over, ma'am, to the microphone. Thank you, and have a seat. The state may have some questions for you.
Hi, Juror 26.
Hi,
You work at Lowe's?
yes,
What do you do there?
I'm a merchandising service team. I work in the plant department.
Okay. How long have you worked there?
About 8, 9 months now.
Okay. Where did you work before?
Before that, I worked at Smoothie King in Buford.
And you raised your card that you may have heard about some stuff about this case?
Yeah, me and my sister really like true crime, so we watch a lot of A&E, all those shows.
Okay.
So as soon as it started, I was like, this kind of sounds a little familiar.
Okay. So you watched the first 48 episodes. Have you watched any other shows or news on this?
No.
If the judge were to instruct you to the best of your ability to set aside what you have heard and seen on First 48 and any other true crime shows or podcasts, do you think you could follow that instruction and make a decision based on what you see and hear in this courtroom only?
Yeah.
And at this point, that you have not heard any evidence yet,
No.
you understand that. So you believe that you can be fair.
Mhm.
And I think you also raised your hand that you have some knowledge about identifying with dental records. Is that from those shows?
Yeah, I wasn't sure how like serious you had to know
Okay.
it, but I was like, I just know of it.
Okay, no problem. And I think you also said you have some friends or family in law enforcement?
Yeah, my brother is the chief of police in Carrollton County.
Okay. Do you talk to your brother about his work?
Sometimes.
Have you yourself ever worked in law enforcement?
No.
And you also know of that area and the apartment complex over at Singleton and Indian Trail?
I live 4 minutes away from there. I pass it every day from work.
Okay. Do you have any friends or family that live in that apartment complex?
No,
Have you ever gone there other than just driving by it for
just
work?
drive by.
Okay. And I think you raised your card that someone close to you, a family member or friend, has been strangled or choked before.
Yes, my mom.
Can you tell me about that?
It was from her dad and also my dad.
Okay. Did you witness either of those incidents?
My dad doing it.
Okay. Were you, how old were you when that happened?
I was probably around 8.
Were police involved for that?
No.
And if you were to hear evidence in this case, if selected for the jury of strangulation, do you think you could set aside anything that you saw and experienced with your mom?
Yeah.
And you use the Life 360 app?
I do.
How long have you used it?
I've used it I used it a long time ago when it first came out, and then in the last 4 years I've had it again for my Smoothie King job.
Okay. You used to use it with other friends or coworkers?
Yeah, even after I left Smoothie King, I kept friends with them, so I still have them on Life 360 right now.
Okay. And is that just for safety reasons or?
Yeah, just like friends reason, like just to see where everybody's at. And I have one with my sister and her husband just to be like, where's everybody at?
Okay.
Just fun.
Okay. have been arrested?
Yes,
Tell me what that was for.
for stealing a necklace. I got it expunged though.
Okay.
But yeah,
Was that in Gwinnett County?
yes,
When
yes.
was that?
I was probably 17 or 18.
Okay.
Not sure the year.
And did you go to court for that?
No, I just got it. I saw a lawyer and got it expunged and
Okay.
then left.
You did something
Service.
pre-trial diversion?
No, sorry, this is a long time ago. I did, it was just like, here's papers of community service to
Okay.
do. And that's what I did.
Do you feel that your case was handled fairly by the court system and police?
Yeah,
And you've also had friends or family arrested?
yes.
Tell me who they are in relation to you that was arrested.
My cousins, they do a lot of drugs and bad choices. So
Okay. Do they, they're arrested, are they in Gwinnett or somewhere else?
they're in, I don't think they're in Gwinnett anymore. I think they recently moved.
Did you go to court for your cousin's case?
No.
Do you know if your cousins were handled fairly by law enforcement?
I'm sure they would say no.
Okay. But you're not sure?
Yeah,
did
I'm
you?
not sure at
Okay,
all.
no worries. And I think, did you raise your card saying you have a child that has used drugs or you have used drugs?
Me.
Okay. I was gonna say, your child is 9 months, right?
No, I was like, no kid.
No kids?
No kids.
Okay. How long ago was that?
I was probably, 1 second. I was probably 21 to 23.
Okay. Anything that was more than occasional use? Anything that involved treatment or rehab or anything like that?
No,
Anything that involved law enforcement?
no.
And I believe you also said that you or someone close to you has been a victim of sexual abuse or sexual assault.
Yes,
Can you tell me about that? Is that you or someone else?
my mom.
Okay. And the perpetrator of that, was that someone you knew?
Her dad.
Her dad? Okay. Did you witness that or just your mom told you about it?
No, just my mom.
And do you know police were involved with that?
They were not.
Given that if you were to hear evidence of a sexual assault in this case, do you think you could be fair and impartial and set aside what happened to your mom?
Yes.
And I think you also raised your card that you are someone who doesn't like conflict.
Yes.
Tell me about that, why you raised your card for that question.
If I'm honest, I'm just a bit of a pushover. I don't like conflicts a lot. I grew up with a lot of conflict in my house, so I liked the easiest path.
Okay.
And even if it means saying I'm wrong, I'll be like, sure.
Okay. Do you, in this situation, if you're selected for a jury, if a judge were to tell you that you are to listen to the evidence and argue your opinion back in the jury room, do you think that you could stand by your opinion, or do you think that you would be a pushover and change your opinion for the other jurors?
Not be a pushover, just be a little quiet
A
and
little
awkward, I
quiet?
feel like.
Okay.
I would try, because I don't want to, but yeah, I would try.
You would try, but would you change your opinion?
Oh. No.
Would you feel comfortable enough to voice your opinion, even if it may be different than the other jurors?
Maybe. I think so. Yeah.
I'm just asking for honest answers. I'm not asking you to change.
I don't know.
anything based on my
I know. I'm just
questions.
trying to think what in that situation. I was like, I don't know. I probably stick to my opinion.
But
Not
would you be able
change.
to argue your opinion?
Oh,
and
argue.
Share that with the other jurors?
I guess if someone pointed me out and said, "Tell me your opinion," yeah.
Okay. Have you ever been on a jury before?
No.
If you understand, because you watch these shows, you understand the importance of a jury.
Yes.
Correct? Okay. And you understand that it's important, and we're going through this long process to make sure we get people who can be fair and fight for their opinions based on the evidence in the evidence courtroom. Do you think you could do that job?
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
Do you have any questions?
Yes, I just have a brief follow-up. Hi, how are you?
Hi.
I have 48 hours on Blue for forensic files,
Me
so
too.
I understand. Did you watch the whole episode?
No, it was like mostly pieces. I just remember my sister sending it because she was like, "That's near your area. Check it out."
Okay, so you just watched like maybe 5 or 10 minutes?
Yeah, like throughout. I was cleaning while it was
Oh,
like kind of on.
Without really going into anything specific, do you remember specifics or just in general?
I just remember like in general and like one thing they said about a weapon.
Okay. And again, I don't want to belabor the point, but I'm going to follow up a little bit on what the state said. You know, in the jury room, we would like to think that everybody is nice and cordial, but sometimes that may not happen.
Yeah.
Some people may be even louder than me, and I'm really loud. And I understand that you're not going to argue with someone, but if it comes down to it and you have a differing opinion, now unless they change your mind legitimately, would you maintain that opinion?
I would.
Okay, thank you.
All right, ma'am, if you could put the microphone down on the ledge, and if you'll go with my bailiff that way. And you're okay. That you can put it on the chair. That might be a better place for it. It's all right. You can come that way. Either way, it doesn't matter. And Patty, would you, you can leave it right there. Yeah, thank you very much. If you'll bring juror number 27 in. All right. And there is a microphone, ma'am. We're going to ask you to pretend like you're on American Idol. You don't have to sing. We just need to make sure you speak into the microphone when you answer questions so my court reporter can take down what you said. Okay? Thank you.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, it's good. You got to get ready for prime time. The microphone. There we go. There was a question, I believe Judge Atkins asked it. I might have asked it, I don't recall, about whether anybody had any medical conditions or things like that that might cause trouble during the trial. Can you tell me? I marked down that you raised your card for that. Can you tell me what's going on?
Sure. I excuse me. I just really went to my doctor Friday. I have serious back issues, and he gave me an injection and referred me to a pain specialist because I've really been dealing with a lot of pain in my back. But that's pretty much what that is.
So that's an ongoing condition you're seeking treatment for?
That is correct.
Now, I think Judge Atkins also brought this up. We do our best to take regular breaks for everybody for comfort reasons and just be able to walk around and about every 90 minutes, an hour and a half or so. Given that we would be taking breaks, do you feel that the pain you're experiencing in your back, would you be able to sit here for that period of time, that 90 minutes or so at a time?
I think so.
And really, I mean, some people just suffer through pain and there's, you get treatment, but it's just there. The real question is, we want to know if you are chosen to be a juror, is your pain and what you're experiencing to such a significant level that you are not going to be able to pay attention to what's going on here in the courtroom and listen to the witnesses.
No,
So you can't.
I will be able to
You will
listen.
be able to.
Mhm.
And that's not to belittle anything you have going on.
No.
Just, you know, understand that.
Would you feel comfortable letting me know if you were in pain and needed to take a break?
Yes, and I would say if I could just kind of just get up, stretch, move around a little bit, have that liberty, then I should be okay.
Okay, thank you.
And several of your other jurors may have the same things. We can always walk around.
Yeah,
Um,
not too much longer than that though.
Yes, ma'am. Have you heard stuff about this case?
Have I heard anything about it?
Anything about this case, the fact of this case on the news or otherwise?
Yes,
Okay. Where have you heard stuff from?
just television, the news, a little bit from the news. That's about it. Mhm.
And so just kind of in passing, or have you sought out and kind of looked for stuff about this case?
No, I hadn't sought anything about it, just when it came on.
Rules of the court, are that essentially we ask our jurors to make a decision about guilt or innocence at the end of the trial based upon what they hear and see in the court. Right, everybody comes in with different life experiences, but ultimately we ask everybody, can you make a decision based on the evidence that you hear and see in court? Even though you've seen a few things on the news, can you do that? Can you make a decision based upon the evidence you see and hear in court?
That is absolutely.
I mentioned a location right there at the intersection of Singleton Road and Indian Trail. Are you familiar with that area?
I am.
How are you familiar with it?
I used to live off of Indian Trail and Singleton Road years ago when I first moved here to Atlanta.
All right. Do you still frequent that location now?
Not a lot. I live in Grayson now, so
A little bit of a ways.
yeah.
Okay. And there was a question that I had asked about whether folks like to watch what I call true crime shows. Is that you? You like to watch the true crime
I
shows?
didn't like that word "like" because it's not that I like it. I just found myself starting to look at them. I used to couldn't look at them. They were just a little bit too much for me. But from just what you call scrolling through the TV and just stopping and looking at a little bit, and then I could not look at much, and then I'll start looking at a little more. And I found that it's like knowledgeable. It's something that I kind of was dreading to look at, but as I started looking at it more, then I realized this is information you need to know about. This is reality. This is stuff that's really happening. And so for that reason, I took a somewhat interest in it, but not like a liking.
I understand. Educational? for you?
More educational, that is correct.
There was a question I had asked whether anybody had themselves experienced an incident of choking or strangulation. And I think you had raised your card. Can you tell me about that?
Well, it wasn't, I would say really harmful to me, but it was more like like a relationship. And, it was just kind of a gesture made, and I didn't like it. And I haven't had that done anymore because I stressed that, no, I don't like it regardless.
How long ago was that?
I say about 15 years maybe or so ago, if not longer.
It didn't escalate to anything that you would describe as very serious.
No.
But
Mm-mm.
something that you, obviously it's memorable.
Oh, yeah.
And you did not like it.
No, I didn't like it.
Have you had family members or friends arrested before?
That is correct.
Can you tell me who?
It was my son and my daughter, really, both.
So it looks like on your questionnaire, they give us a copy of the questionnaires that you filled out. You have a 43-year-old son and a 41-year-old daughter. All right, so what were they arrested for?
My daughter might have been, now, I don't know all the details because they were handling that on their own. I didn't I don't think I even went to the hearing or court or anything. They were out on their own at that time, from home. So, I don't want to say exactly because I don't know exactly, but it was, maybe, kind of hard to remember exactly.
And it's okay if you don't recall.
I can't really recall exactly what it was about.
That's all right.
They kept that from mom a lot of times.
I can understand. Do you recall what your son was charged with, arrested for?
No, not exactly.
Let me ask, do you recall one way or the other after talking to your children about this, if you did? Any thoughts about whether they were treated fairly, treated unfairly, involved in these incidents?
Well, I just know that they got legal counsel and advice and paid attorneys and all, so they came out pretty good. That's about all I know.
And they, in terms of their issues, since you don't recall exactly what the charges were, do you remember they were, anytime somebody's arrested, it's serious, but in terms of serious charges or kind of more minor things? Do you recall?
They were arrested, and I would say it was serious enough, but nothing major.
Okay.
Nothing major.
Any lasting opinions you have about the police, the criminal justice system as a result of that?
No.
I had asked a question about anybody having a bad experience with the police or the criminal justice system. I don't know if your incidents with children might be those, or have you ever had a other negative experience with law enforcement?
If I or
Yes.
them? No, I haven't.
Okay.
I haven't had anything negative.
All right. And perhaps I probably should have started with this, but I wrote a question at the end, so hopefully we don't waste our time. Can you tell me about your scheduling issues?
Yes, I have a hearing scheduled on the 18th.
A hearing, what did you say? For what is this?
This is with my attorney. And it's going to be Zoom, but it's a hearing. I have an attorney too that's working on a financial situation for me.
Okay.
So our hearing, the first one is June 18th.
Okay, so and I'm not going to pry too much into what
Right.
you have going on, but I just need a few extra details. Is there a court case somewhere involving a financial situation?
Yes.
You have going on?
Yes,
Okay. Where is that court case at?
Fulton County.
Fulton County. You have a lawyer that represents you?
Yes, sir.
All right. Is it a criminal matter or
No.
is it more of a civil matter? Civil matter. The hearing you have scheduled for the 18th is, you said it's by Zoom. Is that an official court hearing in Fulton County?
Yes,
And you're supposed to appear via Zoom?
that is correct.
Okay. If the court in Fulton County said they had to continue it because you were here with us, is there going to be any negative consequences for your life as a result of that?
If I'm not able to attend?
Well, the court would reschedule it, right?
Oh,
You
okay.
can't go because you're here. And,
Okay,
and Judge Atkins calls the Fulton County judge and says,
okay.
she's not coming, she's a juror. The court reschedules it. Are there negative consequences that you face in your life because of that?
As long as you all say it's right. I mean, y'all cover me.
I just want to make sure. I didn't pry into too much of what you have going on, so.
And I'm glad. Thank you.
Is that the only scheduling issue, was the 18th?
That's it.
There was a question, I think that Ms. Drake asked about whether anybody had opinions about marijuana being legal.
Yes,
Are you fine with it being legal or have issues? with that?
absolutely.
Okay.
It's high time,
I understand.
my opinion.
And I think based on the responses we got on that question, I think most people agree with you. It says that you're a retired real estate professional. So were you a real estate agent?
Well, I'm retired from Southern Bell South and AT&T, and I'm a real estate professional now. So I don't say really totally retired, semi-retired, because I never sat down. I never quit working.
You
Just
never
went
quit
from
working.
one career to the next.
There's a difference between retiring and stopping working.
That is correct.
So you work for Bell South AT&T.
Southern
What did you
Bell.
do for them?
Oh goodness, I started out as a service order typist. I never was an operator, but I came in on an E3 level, service order typist. Then I got promoted to service representative. Then I got promoted to testing technician. So I retired as a testing technician, and I did managerial duties too along the way. But
Now you are spending part-time doing real estate.
no, it ain't part-time. It's full-time.
So you just went from one job to another.
That's what I
didn't
did.
retire from anything.
No, really.
All right. Is there anything you've heard today that makes you feel like you couldn't be fair and impartial if you're picked to be a juror?
No.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, the defense may have some questions for you, ma'am.
I don't have any questions.
Okay. All right, ma'am, if you would go with my deputy there, you can give the microphone to Patty. Thank you. And Patty, if you'll bring juror 28. If you'll just sit in the front row, sir, of the jury box, that'd be great. And there's a microphone. There you go.
Hi, Juror 28. I'm just gonna ask you a few questions, okay, sir? You have,
You can, if you'll put it up to your mouth. Yes, yes, this is your chance to be on American Idol. But you just don't have to sing. You don't have to sing.
sir, you have, teenagers living in your house? Okay. How old are your nieces and nephews? Okay, you see them every day? Okay. And what do you do for a living? At what? Plasma. Where is that located? Okay.
We're going to ask you to put the microphone closer to your mouth just so we can hear everything that you say. It's all good.
Thank you, sir. And so I believe you said that a family member or friend has been arrested before?
Yes.
Tell me about who that person is to you.
He's a close friend.
Close friend?
He just got out.
You just got out? Okay. What was he charged with?
A lot of stuff.
Oh.
I can't know the charges back then, but he just got out. He's been 5 years.
5 years? Was that here in Georgia? Did he get arrested in Gwinnett? Okay. Did you go to jail to see him, court? Okay. I know you said you don't know the details of the charges. Something serious? But he was sentenced to 5 years? Okay. Do you know if do you believe that he was treated fairly by spirits?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. You also raised your card that you know someone who may have been falsely accused of a crime. Is that someone else? Okay. Who is that person to you? Of another friend? Okay. And can you tell me what they were accused of?
I don't know the charges, but he told me details. I don't know exact details. But I don't know. I can believe what he's told me. I can't believe everything he said.
Okay. Okay. So other than what your friend told you, do you have any other knowledge that you went to court or were there when he got arrested or anything like that? We're asking these questions because we anticipate that some of the witnesses you'll hear from, if selected for this jury, are police officers. So I want to make sure that you're able to be fair and impartial and listen to police officers as well as all the other witnesses if you're selected. Do you think you could do that?
Yeah.
So do you think you could set aside what happened to your two friends and listen to the evidence?
Yeah.
Okay. I think you also said that you or someone close to you has had a bad experience with law enforcement. Is that yourself?
No, my sister.
Your sister? Okay. And again, was that Gwinnett County Police? Tell me what happened with your sister. And I'm sorry, I need you to move that microphone to your mouth. Okay. Okay. Did your sister get charged for that?
No.
You were kids.
It wasn't true, that's the problem.
Okay. Okay. Were you there when that happened? Okay. How old were you guys? Okay. And the same question, do you think you could set aside what happened when you guys were kids and be fair?
Yeah.
And you know some information about this case that we're talking about?
I seen them use some time with my dad.
Okay.
Like a lot of times.
Okay. Besides seeing on the news, did you go and watch any shows on it? Like first 48?
I do not watch something like that.
Okay.
My dad, he can watch the news, so I watch. He probably watching me when I get home now.
Okay. Okay. If the judge were to tell you that your job, if selected, would be to make a decision solely on what you hear and see in this courtroom, could you follow her instructions and do that and set aside what you heard on the news? Okay. And you know that area of Singleton and Indian Trail?
Yeah.
How do you know that area?
Friends dropping friends off.
Okay. Friends in that apartment complex? That long list of names that Mr. Delfont read earlier, did you know any of those names on that list? Okay. Besides dropping friends off, have you hung out at that complex?
Probably have. I know someone else probably out there. Yeah.
Okay. When's the last time you went to the complex?
Last time, probably like 2 years ago.
Okay. And I think you said that you or someone close to you also has experienced a drug addiction?
Yeah.
Who is that to you?
Friend just got out.
A friend who just got out? Okay. So you think that friend's charges were drug related?
Who was? I think he was. I think he was.
And you said you also know someone who overdosed?
Overdose? Yes.
Were you there when that person? Okay. And so you carry a firearm?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that for just personal safety? You ever taken any gun classes?
Yes. I think so. Yeah. Yeah, they teach us now.
Okay, at the gun range.
Yeah.
Okay. You go to the range a lot?
Sometimes, yeah.
Okay. You ever served on a jury before?
No, ma'am.
You think that you could be fair if selected?
Yes.
Anything else you think we should know? Thank you, sir.
When you go home tonight, and your dad has the news on, what are you gonna do?
I'm going crazy. I don't know what's going on. I'm not going to be sitting and talk to him.
You're gonna not watch it, right? All right. Ms. Drake may have some questions for you.
Hi, I just have one follow-up question. I know that you've seen some stuff on the news, but is there, and I don't need to know what it is, but do you remember a lot of specifics?
I remember back in my head. I think I seen the news.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I watched the news a lot. My dad watched it. Yeah. I've been moving down since the freaking news come on. Turn it on.
So the news reports that you read, were they just about this particular case or anything else that you're aware of? Okay. Understanding that the judge is going to instruct you that your verdict has to be just what is heard in this courtroom, are you able to do that? And you understand that a lot of the news reports are coming from one side and not the other, right? Okay, thank you.
All right. If you will just leave the microphone and you can take your number. We've got a number left. Okay. And I'm going to take a 15-minute break. And Patty, if you will bring up the next 14, please. We're going to take a 15-minute break.
Yes, ma'am.
Any further motions from the state?
No, Your Honor, nothing further from the state.
And any motions from the defense?
Yes, Your Honor, I believe, based upon the questioning or something the court said, I think juror 15 was getting struck because he has to take his dad to that religious conference.
I believe the state stopped asking him questions at one point. Is that correct, Mr. Delphont? That's the gentleman that has the hotel tickets.
Judge, that is correct. I think the court told him to go ahead and leave because of that. So I assumed, based upon your instruction to him, you were going to excuse him.
Yes, okay. I'm striking him for calls.
And Your Honor, I have one more, and the state does not consent with this one. But juror 19 did say that he had a scheduled seminar with hotel booked for the 12th through the 14th. Even though he said that there is another class he could take before August, the class he's taking covers all 3 states that he is licensed in. And the one that he would have to take to keep his Florida license is only going to be good in Florida.
What's the state's position?
I understand the conflict. When I asked him, he, certainly there's a lot of inconveniences that we'll face from jurors and serving on this panel, but he said it could be rescheduled. He said he could, it can be changed, and didn't articulate any reason that he would be out any significant money and or time in order to reschedule it. So we're opposed, and I just don't think that conflict rises to the level of an excuse for cause.
I'm going to deny the defense's request and qualify juror 19.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, anything else we need to take up about jurors 15 through 28?
Not from the bench, Your Honor.
No.
Okay.
Your Honor,
Yes.
there is a note coming forward from 22. She said she needed to add something to her, what she had to say. And I have the other bailiff to have her to write a note, but I haven't received it yet.
Okay. All right. When we get that, we will address it. State ready to go forward on, what are your?
I am, Judge. Just pure scheduling timing issue. It's 5 after 4, and we'll have another, we're bringing 14 jurors
Yes.
next time. So I'm fine to stay past 5 o'clock. I just don't know if you're planning on doing that or just bringing them back after, however we get to, bring the rest of them back tomorrow.
Let's just see how far we get. I'm concerned that we lost the first 14. I mean, as far as time. So, do you have the, okay. And state ready? Yes, sir.
Can I clarify, we are going to release 18, 23, and 24.
Let me get the defense and the prosecutor. We're releasing 15. We're releasing 15, correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay, well, hold on. And then we're releasing 18.
That's correct, Judge.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. We are releasing 23,
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
and we are releasing 24.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that correct from the
Yes,
defense? Okay, thank you.
Thank you very
Did that help you? Okay. All right. If we can bring, states ready, defense ready?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, if we could bring juror number 29 in. We are being live streamed. I just found that out, so we need to call by numbers. And WSB, I want to make sure that you're not showing jurors' faces or recording if I'm not on the bench, either audio or video. Thank you, sir. Good afternoon. If you'll just sit in that middle chair and grab the microphone. Thank you. The state may have some questions for you. Yeah, it's on.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Just a few follow-up questions for you. There was a question that I asked about whether anybody had, or I'm sorry, I think Ms. Drake asked this question about whether anybody had trouble with memory. And I believe you raised your card. Can you tell me why you raised your card for that?
Because there will be a couple of days where I just don't remember. Like, today we're talking, and then the next 2 days I immediately forget what we were talking about.
Okay. Is there any kind of diagnosis or medical condition that you have that might cause that?
No, not at all.
So when you say you forget stuff, describe to me, is it a complete, just forget everything that happened the previous day, or how does it present?
Usually it's just like going about my day, space out, and then we're talking about something, or like, for example, my wife says put like A, B, and C, and I'm thinking, what's going to be the game for tomorrow? Or like, what's a baseball game or whatever.
You work?
I do.
Okay. Do you space out at work?
Yes.
Okay.
At times.
So in terms of you spacing out, I'll use the word space out because I think that's what you said. But when you have these lapses in memory and just focus, how long has that been going on?
Every other week, every other one. When I'm not, like when I'm doing a task, it's different. But I'm either mowing the lawn or, oh man, when I'm mowing the lawn or I'm playing with my kid, I immediately forget what the next step is. Like what my next step or chore that I'm supposed to do.
Okay. Is there anything in your life that you can think of that would have caused the condition like this, or anything that you've seen a doctor for that might explain the condition that you're describing?
No. I mean, I played football. I got hit by an ice cream truck. And I think, yeah. I mean, I got memory, but I'm not completely.
I understand. So in the trials, when we have criminal trials, the judge and the court will hand out notepads to all of the jurors to be able to take notes about what you're seeing and hearing in the courtroom. And you can take as many notes as you want to about the case. You're not required to take any, but you're allowed to. If you take notes about what you see and hear in the courtroom, do you think in any way that aids in you not forgetting or remembering things, or is it still going to be an issue for you?
I think it might be an issue. Usually, I have an audio file that I like to keep. I don't have it on with me. I mean, but that's usually how I remember some type of things.
Okay, so you make a note for yourself on your phone.
Yeah,
to remember something.
because when I write, it's my writing. It's not. It's not as good as it used to be.
Okay. And we're not asking you to write, a documentary about this, but just take your own notes. Are you able to do that? Are you able to take notes?
Yeah, I'm able to take notes.
Okay. Now, just practically speaking, if this trial lasts for 2 weeks, just honesty from you, do you think that by the end of this trial, with taking notes and sitting here and us taking breaks, but sitting here having to listen to witnesses and testimony, are you going to remember, not every single little thing someone says, nobody will probably remember that, but are you going to remember the significant portions of this trial? Are you going to remember stuff from your notes?
No, maybe not.
Okay. There was a question the judge asked about scheduling conflicts. And so tell me what that is for you.
I work, and I'm the only one that makes income in my family, so they depend on me. And I just want to make sure that I don't lose my job.
What do you do for work?
I'm an Amazon driver. Well, DSP, delivery service partner. So I work with Amazon.
Okay, so deliver Amazon packages?
Yeah.
Okay. And now you said that you are married. What does your wife do?
She's a stay-at-home mom. She takes care of 2 kids.
All right. So I see here on your paper that it shows you have one daughter that's 1 year old.
Yes.
All right. You said there are 2 kids. So who's the other child?
Well, she lives in Brazil, and we're trying to bring her over to the U.S. so she can spend time with her mom since she's been away for this is actually her 6th year. Yeah.
Okay. Is your wife her mother? This girl in Brazil?
Yes.
Okay. Is your wife here or in Brazil?
My wife is here.
Your wife is here. So y'all are trying to bring your wife's daughter to the United States from Brazil?
Yes.
Okay. Is she your daughter or your wife's daughter?
She's my wife's daughter, but I like to think she's mine.
And I understand that. So you said she takes care of your daughter, and then she'll take care of this other child if and when you can bring the child from Brazil.
Yes.
If you are not working for the next 10 business days because you are here with us, tell me what kind of financial impact that's going to have on your family.
Significantly, I would probably have to be. I would be a little bit tight on rent. That's my biggest concern.
Okay. Is there a way to make that up so that you're not evicted from your home or dispossessed there?
You can pay me more?
I'm sure they could. Is there additional hours that you can sign up for after this is over with to try and make up the difference? Is what I'm asking.
No, I don't think so. No, Amazon, the company's very strict on the 12-hour policy.
Have you heard anything about this case?
No, only from this morning.
And you're familiar with the apartment complex, the Sterling Glen Apartments, and that intersection of Singleton Road and Indian Trail?
Yes.
How so?
I worked for a previous company that maintained the property.
So you worked for a company that did like maintenance and there at the apartment complex?
Yeah.
Did you assist them and work there doing maintenance at that apartment complex?
No, my former coworkers have.
Have you ever visited?
Once, yeah. That on a what do you call them? It's like a busboy route or like a tradesman thing, like learning drywall and sheetrock.
Okay. All right. Do you have family members or friends who work in law enforcement?
I have, yeah, actually. Well, my best friend works he works at the Navy. He's a navalman.
He's in the Navy?
Yeah, he's
okay.
in the Navy.
So you have a friend who's in the Navy?
Yeah, I don't know if that's law enforcement or it's military or.
It is military
Okay.
for sure. Yep, absolutely. And I did ask a question about anybody serving in the military, but you have not served in the military.
No.
Are you familiar with cellular tower mapping?
My father is.
Your father is?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any knowledge about it yourself?
No.
Okay. And how do you know who your father is?
He's always busy. He's got mountains of documents, and he's always called electrical man or the cable guy, or he's got multiple nicknames at his job.
What kind of work does he do?
Right now, he's software engineer and analytics.
There's true crime shows like the First 48, Forensic Files, things like that. Do you have an interest in watching those?
I do.
Tell me about what shows you like or why you like watching them.
Law and Order and Criminal Minds. It's a nice little fun watch that me and my wife watch.
Okay. So Criminal Minds and Law and Order, I would term as not necessarily true crime, like documentary, but more like entertainment value type things. Is that kind of what you like to watch?
And Dateline. Yeah,
And
Dateline.
okay, so, all right. Just for entertainment value, or why do you like watching them?
For entertainment value, I think it's interesting. It passes on the time, you know. It just and it kind of makes you think, and yeah, I mean that's about it.
There was a question I asked about whether anybody had been choked or strangled before.
Yeah,
Have you?
I have been strangled before.
Okay, can you tell me about that?
I was in a boxing match. It was you know, it was like a high school thing. Well, no, and at wrestling as well.
Okay. High school wrestling?
Yeah.
Okay. And as a part of the wrestling and boxing, were you strangled?
Yeah, at times.
Okay. Ever strangled to unconsciousness?
No, just to the point where I'm seeing stars.
Understood. You've also had family members or friends that have been strangled?
Yeah.
All right. Who is that to you?
My cousin. She she was a rape victim. So.
Okay. So that's going to be another question we have too. So your cousin was the victim of a sexual assault, of a rape, and did the strangling occur at the same time?
At the same time, when she admitted what was going on in her life.
Okay. And did she tell you about those things?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. How long ago?
When I was 13 years old. That's all I can remember.
All right. Was she was the perpetrator, the person who did that to her? Was that person known to her?
Was until he fled to Mexico, and then, well, we don't know what happened after that.
The police involved?
The police was involved. She made her statement.
Have you or a family member or friend ever been arrested?
My aunt got arrested a lot. Yeah, my aunt, my oldest brother, my second oldest.
Let me ask you, as it relates to those arrests, we don't have to go through them all, but just what kinds of things are your family arrested for?
Well, my aunt was arrested for drugs, loitering, or even a false claim where she assaulted an officer.
So she was arrested for assaulting an officer, but you're saying that was a false accusation?
That's what she claims, yes.
Let me ask, when you have family members that have had arrests and even the false accusation by the police officer, according to your aunt, do you have any opinions because of that about law enforcement in general or the criminal justice system?
Well, when it came to requesting a body cam footage of my aunt doing something wrong, they ended up deleting the footage, or not the footage. He ended up not releasing the footage.
Okay.
So.
And how's that impacted you?
Well, I mean, not very much. Sometimes I think my aunt had it coming.
Okay. She had it coming with.
I believe she is guilty in a lot of ways, and I don't believe she's a good woman.
She's a good woman.
I don't believe she's a good woman. No.
Now, I asked a series of questions about whether you or you had a child who abused drugs or experimented with drugs as a child. Have you ever experimented with drugs as a child?
Yes, I have.
Okay, what kinds?
I want to decline to say.
I'm sorry, you said you want to decline to say?
Oh, I want to, yeah. I feel like I don't want to get myself into trouble, but I did do. I will say I did do marijuana for most of my teenage years.
Okay. In addition to marijuana, were there other things? Without getting specific, were there other drugs besides
Yes.
marijuana? Okay. And is that still an ongoing thing for you?
No.
Now, how long ago did you stop that behavior?
Since I was 16, picked it back up. 17, dropped it at 18, and then ever since then, yeah. Oh, and then I became a. I got my CDL, became a bus driver, and then I stopped.
Okay. So, and you are 25?
Yes.
Okay, so that's been 7 years, 6, 7 years ago, or how long?
Yeah, I believe, yeah, 6, 7 years.
Okay. You've been a witness to a crime?
Yeah, when I was a kid, I witnessed a shooting happened.
A shooting, okay. Here or somewhere else?
No, in California.
And so what did you end up having to call the police, be a witness?
No, my mom did that. Me and my little brother, we were trying to pick up my second oldest brother, and two guys were fighting outside school. Guy pulls out a revolver and shoots the man 5 times directly at close range.
And did you have any involvement in terms of giving statements to the police?
I did give a statement to the police. I did.
There was also a question that we asked about whether there was any reason somebody had trouble passing judgment or couldn't pass judgment or sit in judgment of somebody, and you had raised your card for that.
Yeah. At the very beginning, I was a little uneasy about the I heard rape and a murder charge, and that was kind of an uneasy thing. And in my head, I immediately thought I would probably give a guilty verdict.
Okay, you would probably give a guilty verdict.
I would most likely, yes.
So I want to talk to you about that, and your answer is your answer. But as you come in here today, you don't know anything about this case?
No.
And so, what makes you feel like you already decided the case?
The minute I heard rape and murder, in the same sentence.
So certainly you understand every defendant in the United States, every defendant is presumed innocent until the state proves them guilty.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's the state's job to prove somebody is guilty of whatever crimes they're charged with, regardless of whether it's rape or murder or anything else. Do you understand that? Yeah. All right. And so normally all we ask a juror to do is sit, listen to the evidence, and make a decision about guilt or innocence at the conclusion. My question for you is, have you already made that decision?
Yes, it's very.
And is that decision that you've made such that it's fixed and it won't be changed?
It will not be changed. No.
I certainly appreciate your honesty. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. I don't have any other questions.
Okay, if you would go with my bailiff in the back of the courtroom, sir, and if you could bring in juror 30. Thank you. Good afternoon, sir. If you would just sit in right there. Yes, anywhere, and just grab that microphone. We need to make sure that my court reporter can hear everything that you say. Okay. The state may have some questions for you, okay?
Yes, sir. So we just want to make sure you talk in that microphone so everyone can hear you, okay?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
We can. Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you. That's exactly what we want you to do.
And sir, you work in engineering?
Yes.
Tell me what specifically you do.
I oversee a lot of building projects.
Okay. So are you actually on site for construction?
From the
Okay.
construction and repairs.
Okay. And you served in the military?
Yes.
Thank you for your service.
Welcome.
What branch did you serve in?
Army.
And what was your job in the Army?
Supply sergeant.
And I think you said you have some family or friends in law enforcement?
Yes.
Tell me who they are as far as the relationship to you.
Now, when you asked that question, you didn't say in the state of Georgia. You say in my family.
That's okay.
Okay. I just want to make sure I understood that right.
Yeah.
I have a cousin in North Carolina.
Okay.
He's in the sheriff department.
Okay.
I had an uncle in the sheriff department in my hometown of Florence, South Carolina.
Okay. And do you talk to either your cousin or your uncle about the cases they work?
No.
Okay. And you, I think, said that you've been arrested before?
Yes.
What were you charged with, sir?
DUI.
Okay. How long ago was that?
88.
Okay. And was that in Gwinnett County?
No.
And do you feel-
Fort Benning.
Okay. So when you were in the military, do you feel that law enforcement was military police? No. Okay. Do you feel that law enforcement treated you fairly back in 1988?
Under the circumstances, yeah.
Yes. Okay.
That's funny.
I'm not trying to trick you. We're just trying to make sure we get fair jurors. Okay.
Gotcha.
And you said that you also had either a friend or family member who's been arrested? Okay.
I don't know why and all of that.
That's okay. Is that, can you tell me the relationship to you? Like brother, sister? Brothers. Okay.
Cousins.
Okay. For any of them, did you go to court with any of your brothers or cousins?
No, I'm staying away from court.
Okay. I'm just trying to find out if you have any feelings one way or another, if you think that you could be fair if you were selected for this jury.
That was kind of stumbled me a little bit.
Why's that?
Did you ask the question about former military, or this case has anything to do with military?
No, sir.
No.
Oh, okay. I thought I don't know, but I think I could do. I could, but military. If it's military, then that's when I thought. Because when I thought I heard it, that's when I think that.
No, we just want to know about your experience.
It would be a little tough for me.
Okay. But do you think that you could listen to the evidence in this courtroom and then follow the law that the judge gives you and make a decision?
Yes.
And you think that you could be fair and impartial when doing that?
Yes.
Okay. Is there anything that we didn't ask that you think we should know about?
Nope.
And I'm not sure I completely understood your answer. The defendant was a member of the National Guard of the Army. That, I think maybe that's the question that you were asking me about.
I thought I heard something.
Would that affect your ability to listen to the evidence in this court?
Truthfully?
Everything needs to be truthfully.
That might.
Okay.
Why does that change your opinion?
I'm real partial toward the military. I'm real partial toward the military. I've seen a lot of bad stuff in the military.
Okay.
And pertaining to military, and so. Yes.
Okay, so if you were to hear that someone was in the military, you believe that you could not be fair?
I don't. Because I be fair? Yeah. I don't think so. I don't think I could be.
So the judge.
Because I'm thinking military don't get the best of breaks, so to speak.
Understand that? All the judge would be asking you to do is could you listen to the evidence in the courtroom and then make a decision based on the law that she gives you as to guilt or innocence.
I don't want to sit here and lie. All right, so I'm saying no because I don't want to lie.
Okay.
I'm serious. I don't
We
want.
don't want you to lie.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Does Vince have any questions?
Mr. Briefing Judge. Good afternoon. So this case does not have anything to do with the military. My client was in the National Guard at the time that this alleged incident occurred. Just the fact that he was in the National Guard and not the facts in this case, do you still believe that you would be able to be unfair and apply the laws as the judge gives it to determine guilt or innocence in this case?
I think so.
You think you could? Or?
I think I could. I think.
You indicated on your questionnaire that you've lived in Gwinnett for a little over 2 years, is that correct?
Right.
Where'd you live before that?
Sandy Springs.
Have you always lived in Georgia? Where'd you live before Georgia?
United States Army.
Okay.
Overseas.
So how long have you been here in Georgia?
Back. I moved here in '92 when I left the military.
All right, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, sir, if you would put the microphone down and if you'll go with my bailiff that way. And Patty, if you'll bring. You need to deal with that. Okay. Would you bring in, yes, would you bring in juror number 31? Hello, sir. Yeah, if you could just sit in that third chair, that would be great. And if you wouldn't mind picking up the microphone. My court reporter's taking down everything that you say, and we need to make sure that we can hear your responses.
Okay.
Thank you. State may have some questions for you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Afternoon, how are you?
Fine, how are you?
I'm good. One of the first questions that we asked was a question about whether anybody would have medical issues, reasons that might give them trouble to sit for longer periods of time.
Yes.
And I think you raised your hand. Can you tell me about that?
I'm a diabetic and I have urothemy in my feet and I have basically have some back problems due to being overweight as of right now. And that's basically the physical problems.
And so tell me, what are your concerns in terms of, we'll be here generally around 90 minutes at a time before taking a break. And in that period of time, do you believe that you could sit and listen and pay attention to the evidence here? You know, if we take breaks about every 90 minutes or so, or will there be things that cause you to not be able to do that?
Pretty much I should be able to do that. And I also have problems with my right knee.
Okay. Yes, sir. And so you also potentially could have the opportunity to stand up, stretch your legs and stuff like that if need be, if while evidence is being presented.
Mhm.
Would you feel comfortable with going ahead and letting the judge know you need to stand up for a second if that becomes necessary?
Yes.
There was just a general question I asked about anybody know anything about this case?
Yes.
Do you know anything about this case?
I saw a program, 48 Hours. I viewed it at my home. And I'm just trying to think, maybe a year ago or so. I'm not exactly sure when. And I saw this exact case on there.
Yes, sir. So the instructions from the judge, the job of a juror, is essentially to be selected to make a decision about guilt or innocence based upon only the evidence that's presented here in the courtroom. Right? And things outside of the courtroom that you may have seen or heard, obviously those are in your mind, but you have to make a decision based upon what you hear here. Is that something you're able to do?
Well, when I watched the show, I came to the opinion that the person, the defendant, looked like he was very guilty.
Okay. And based upon the show that was presented.
Yes, yes.
Now, you understand, in Georgia and pretty much every state in the United States, a defendant is innocent until proven guilty.
Yes.
And every defendant in every criminal case, the state has a burden of proving beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant is guilty. Do you understand that?
Yes.
All right. Now, your job as a juror, if you're selected, is to hold the state to that burden. Right? To convict only if you feel the state has met its burden beyond a reasonable doubt.
Yes.
Do you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay. Now, in making that determination, have I met my burden? You are allowed to consider the evidence presented here, testimony, witnesses, evidence is presented here in court, and only that. Are you able to do that?
Well, after I viewed the show, I mean, I couldn't really say yes or no, but I would say no probably.
No. So, in other words, have you already made up your mind as you sit here today? Have you already made up your mind about the defendant's guilt or innocence in this case? You already decided it.
Yes.
Okay. And really, does it matter what evidence is presented or what testimony you hear? Is there anything that's going to change your mind as to that opinion that you have?
It possibly could.
Okay. So, and perhaps another way of saying that is that would essentially you have to be convinced the defendant wasn't guilty at this point.
Yes.
Okay. I think those are all the questions I have for you, sir.
Okay.
Defense have any questions for this?
No.
Okay. All right, sir, if you would just leave the microphone there and go with my deputy out that side. You can come this way, whichever's easiest for you. Patty, if you would bring the next juror in. Thank you, sir. Good afternoon. If you would just sit in the second or third seat there.
Hi, Juror 32. I had a few questions for you, okay?
If you would pick up the microphone right in front of you, so we just need to be able to hear everything that you answer, okay?
And Juror 32, you said you've served on a grand jury before?
I have.
When was that?
2019 to the beginning of 2020.
And was that in Gwinnett?
It was.
How'd you like that experience?
It was very eye-opening.
The judge, if you're selected for this jury, will give you some instructions, and that will be that you make a decision based solely what you hear and see in this courtroom as far as the evidence, and then the law that the judge will give you at the end of the trial. Do you think you could do that? Follow those instructions and set aside anything you may have learned in grand jury?
Yes.
Okay. As well as anything that you may have learned in your own knowledge. I understand that you watch some of those true crime shows.
Yes, I have not seen this one though.
You've not seen this one. Okay. But it would be the same instruction to kind of set aside anything you have learned from those shows. You think you could do that?
Yes.
Have you seen this case on the news or heard anything about it?
No, I don't watch the news.
Okay, but you haven't seen it on any
I have
shows?
not.
Okay. And what do you do for a living?
I manage our operations for a staffing company.
Staffing, okay. So you do have the opportunity to hire and fire employees.
I do.
Have you had to fire someone before?
Yes.
How do you make a decision to terminate someone?
How do I make a decision? I usually, we're in staffing, so it's provided from our customers, feedback from them, and then it's working with the associate that we put on an assignment and then releasing them, and whether or not it's a full termination or just from that particular customer. And then internally, it's completely different. We follow a set of SOPs as far as what's considered a fireable offense.
And I think you raised your hand that you have had someone close to you suffer from an overdose death. Tell me who that person was in relation to you.
Stepsister.
Okay. And how long ago was that?
Probably 15 years.
Okay. Were you there when your sister passed?
No.
Were you living with her while she was going through the addiction?
No.
Did you have any involvement closely with her while?
No, because my dad and my stepmother married after I left high school, and so it was distant.
Okay. I think that's all you raised your hand for. Was there anything you think that we should know that would prevent you from serving?
Not that I know of.
And do you think that you could be fair and impartial if you were selected?
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
Defense have any questions? Mr. Dobbins?
Good afternoon. So you stated when the state talked to you about the grand jury that it was eye-opening. Tell me a little bit about that. How was that?
I think more about the types of cases that we have within Gwinnett County. Again, I don't watch the news. And I guess maybe I've just lived a sheltered life, and I don't know, it was just interesting, like all the different types of cases that we came across. And so things that maybe I didn't know, like gangs, for example, didn't really know that Gwinnett County had things like that, but just variations.
So if you were to be instructed that the burden of proof in this case as a juror would be different than the burden of proof as a grand juror, would you be able to understand that difference in burden and hold the state to that burden being beyond a reasonable doubt?
Yeah, I mean, I think at least at the time that I served, and I know, the DA and what the parts they went through before cases came to grand jury, they're doing their own vetting in the process. And so we only got a glimpse of it. And I completely understand that what we heard is not in its entirety. It's just a piece of what's being put forth. And then it would come to court for, the full execution and hearing that. So I don't think that they're the same. I know that one is a beginning stage, and then the next one is, obviously where it would, fully lie.
Is there anything as of right now that you've heard through this process that has caused you to form an opinion as to my client's guilt or innocence?
I don't know anything about the case at hand.
I have no further questions.
All right. Ma'am, if you would just leave the microphone on the ledge, and if you will follow Bob out. And Patty, if you'll bring in the next juror. Thank you. Good afternoon. If you would just sit in the second or third seat. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. And ma'am, if you could pick up the microphone, or Patty, if you could hand that to her. If you would just talk into the microphone so my court reporter can hear your answers, okay?
How are you today? Good. If you can put that microphone just a little bit closer to your mouth. There we go.
Thank you.
Fantastic. So just want to go over a few questions with you from earlier this morning. Have you previously served on a jury?
Yes,
All right. And was that here or somewhere else?
it was here.
How long ago?
It's been at least 15, 20 years ago.
Do you recall if it was a criminal case or a civil
It
case?
was a civil case.
All right. And what do you think of the process?
Long,
It's fair? Long process.
but it was fair. Yeah.
Okay. And you were not the foreperson. Okay.
No.
Let's see. Other questions I wanted to ask you. If family members or friends who work in law enforcement?
I have a friend.
Okay. Who is that person to you?
It's a neighbor. I'm best friends with his wife.
Gotcha. Okay. Where does he work?
He works at, he's a fugitive on the Fugitive Task Force of Gwinnett.
Does he ever talk to you about his cases? Or you have any
Never.
particular interest in it?
I'm not really interested.
Have you ever called 911 before?
No.
Okay. Actually, I think I said it in the opposite way. That's right. So you've not ever called 911?
No.
Tell me about any knowledge you have, medical aspects of strangulation.
I was a respiratory therapist. I'm retired.
Okay. So I imagine we're dealing with breathing, respiratory stuff, that is obviously part of your job. Do you have medical training that talks about strangulation and things like that?
I've seen victims of strangulation. It was usually self-inflicted.
Okay. How long were you a respiratory therapist?
33 years.
Here in Gwinnett?
Yeah. Well, partially in Gwinnett and partially in Virginia.
In Virginia, okay. And we get your questionnaires that you filled out. It says you've been here in Gwinnett for about 35 years.
Yes.
Where are you originally from?
Hampton, Virginia, Smithfield, Virginia.
Okay. Do you have any opinion about whether marijuana should be legalized?
Medical marijuana.
Okay. What about recreationally? How do you feel about that?
I don't know enough about marijuana to say.
Okay. And you described yourself, I think, when Ms. Drake asked, as an analytical thinker.
Pretty much so.
What does that mean to you?
That I analyze something before I decide on it.
Okay. You have two children?
Yes, they're grown.
Yeah. And what kind of work do they do?
Well, my daughter is a vet technician, and my son is a trained railroad engineer.
Very good. Did they go to school here in Gwinnett? What high school did they go to?
He went to South Gwinnett.
South Gwinnett. All right. Is there anything you've heard today that makes you feel like you couldn't be fair and impartial if you're picked to be a juror?
No, I haven't watched TV or done anything. I've never had a parking ticket.
Very good. Well, thank you so much.
All right, the state might have some the defense may have some questions for you.
I just have one follow-up question. You indicated that as a general rule, you consider yourself a follower?
I'm a follower.
Okay. Is that all the time, or is it specific to the situation?
This preferable, but I've been put in situations where I had to be the leader.
Okay. And I know that sometimes jurors are always, thinking, why in the world are they asking these crazy questions? In the jury room, if you were to have an opinion about the case, and there was someone with a much stronger personality, maybe a loud voice or a very big presence, that intimidated you, would you be able to maintain your opinion, or would you acquiesce?
Of course, I would maintain my opinion.
Just not argue with them about it?
No, I would argue.
Oh, okay. All right. I think that the state covered all of my other questions. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. If you would just leave the microphone on the ledge. And if you would just go with this gentleman right here. And Patty, if you'll bring the next juror in. If the third or fourth chair, thank you. And if you will be seated and pick up that microphone right in front of you. Thank you.
Hi, Juror 34.
We just need to be able to hear your answer. So
Perfect.
sometimes.
Is that good?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Juror 34, what do you do for a living?
I work in education. I was a teacher, but now I am an instructional technology trainer of teachers.
What school did you teach at before?
Lilburn, well, Starling Elementary before, and now I'm at Lilburn Elementary.
How long have you been working for the school system?
I've been at Gwinnett County Schools. This is my 8th year. I've been in education for 18 years.
And I think you also said you have some friends in law enforcement?
I have a family member by marriage. Formerly in law enforcement. My brother-in-law was in law enforcement in South Carolina.
Okay. Did you talk to your brother-in-law about any of his work?
No.
Do you know any Gwinnett County officers?
No.
Do you know Detective Carter or anyone sitting in the table?
No.
At either table, do you know anyone? Nope.
No.
Okay. And I think you also raised your card that you had a friend or family member been arrested?
Yes. I have a friend who was arrested for felony marijuana.
And was that in Gwinnett County?
Yes.
And do you know how long ago that was?
8 years ago, I guess.
Did you go to court with your friend?
When they were sentenced, I did attend
Okay.
for that.
Do you feel that your friend was treated fairly by law enforcement in the court system?
I do.
And I think you also answered the question that you consider yourself more of a follower than a leader.
Yes.
Explain why you answered that.
Sometimes I'll let people who have stronger personalities take the lead if that's something that they're passionate about. There are times that I take the lead though when I feel strongly or passionately about something. But if someone is qualified in an area that I'm not, I'm okay with letting them take the lead on that.
Have you served on a jury before?
No.
So if you were selected for the jury in this case, the judge would ask you to listen to the evidence and then make a decision based on the law that she gives you. Do you think you could do that?
Absolutely.
And do you think that you could voice your opinion when deliberating with the other jurors if you feel strongly?
Absolutely.
And could you continue to voice your opinion if some of the other jurors disagree with you?
Absolutely.
And you think that you could be fair and impartial if you were selected?
I do.
Have you heard anything about this case on the news or anywhere else?
I have not.
Okay. And I think you raised your card as to you or someone close to you had some drug use in the past?
Yes, the same friend who.
The same friend that you
The
went to-
felony. Yeah.
Okay. That friend, did it get to the point that they had to have treatment or intervention or rehab or anything like that?
They served a good amount of time. Yes.
Okay. But you saw the impact of what drugs did on your friend's life?
Yes.
Anything, and your spouse works for DeKalb County Schools?
Yes.
What does your spouse do for DeKalb?
He works on hardware computers, so he's a IT
Okay.
as well.
Anything you think we should know that prevent you from being fair and impartial if you're selected?
Not that I could think of right now.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
The defense may have some questions
Oh,
for
okay.
you. That's
I was
okay.
ready to go.
There's no problem.
Hi.
Mr. Dobbins.
So I just have a really brief question.
Yeah.
In terms of you being a follower, you have said that if somebody knows maybe something more about a specific area, you might acquiesce to them. Would you be able to view yourself as an equal with all the other jurors in that room? All of you having sat and seen the same evidence?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, because we're all, I think, on the same playing field at that point. And I'm not scared to speak up. And, you know, I'm not scared to speak up when I need to speak up.
Okay, and that's even if maybe another juror was a specialist in some area as a career or something like that.
No, I think we're all in the same kind of playing field when it comes to something like this. So I'm not afraid to voice how I feel about the situation.
Okay, that was all I had. Thank you.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. Is that it?
If you would leave the microphone, just leave it right there on the ledge. And if you go with this gentleman right here, or you can put it on the chair if it's moving. Yeah, I think it's good. If you'll just come on in and sit in maybe the third or fourth chair. Thank you. And if you will grab that microphone, we need to be able to hear your answers,
Sure.
okay? We're not gonna ask you to sing,
Fair enough.
okay?
All right, good afternoon, how are you?
Doing fine on yourself?
Good, thank you. So a few follow-up questions. What kind of consulting work do you do?
I work for a marketing consulting firm. I do data analytics for them.
Okay, fantastic. Now, you have, looks like you've been born and raised here in Gwinnett?
Yes, sir.
All right, and you live currently in the Norcross area?
I do.
Are you familiar with this location we've been talking about, Singleton Road and Indian Trail?
I am. That's quite close to my house.
Okay. How often do you pass through that intersection?
Any day that I would have to go into work, I would drive through that area.
Now, the apartment complex that's there is called the Sterling Glen Apartments. Are you familiar with that apartment complex in any particular way?
Not that particular apartment complex, no.
Also, the area out there on near Drowning Creek, what's your familiarity with that?
Before I lived at the address I live at now, I lived off of Tequila Road and Winder Highway, which is quite close to that area.
I know what it is, all right. And you ever been out there in the woods off of Drowning Creek or 316?
I'm not in the woods, but I'm quite familiar with the area and all up and down 316, all towards Athens.
All right. Life 360, do you use that or are you familiar with it?
I use it on behalf of my wife for her grandmother. So her grandmother has it installed because we use it to check on her after her husband passed away. And the family keeps track of her using Life 360 to make sure she's okay.
So I know it tracks location and speed and stuff like that. Does it track other things too?
You can set it up to track other things, is my understanding. The features that we use are mostly just the movement and phone activity. So it can know if the phone has been opened and unlocked in case you can't hear back from somebody, you know that they're alive and unlocking their phone or things like that.
I got you. Okay. It's a unique application of it. I haven't heard of that before.
Yeah.
It's good. Have you had a family member or friend arrested for a crime?
I have.
Can you tell me about that?
I guess there's a couple. The most immediate one is one of my brothers was arrested for DUI.
Okay. And without going into everybody else, anything major? Anybody arrested for anything really major?
No, sir.
Any of those arrests from your family member or friends that give you a particular frustration with or ill will towards the police?
No, sir.
They think they were treated fairly in their cases?
I believe so.
Did, when you were younger, a child, did you ever experiment with using drugs?
I did.
All right, what kinds?
Mostly recreational drugs like marijuana and ecstasy.
Okay. Is that still something that's ongoing for you or something in the past?
No, sir.
You have any opinions about legalization of marijuana?
I think the marijuana as a whole should likely be legalized, but that's something for the courts to handle, going forward.
I understand. Feel that anybody's been treated unfairly by the criminal justice system?
Anyone has been treated unfairly?
Sorry. You or family member or close friend?
I have had one close friend that I felt was treated unfairly.
Sorry about that?
It was a friend of my brother, and he was in a relationship with the daughter of a sheriff's deputy. And the sheriff's deputy took a case that probably wasn't to the level it needed to be and escalated it far beyond the circumstances that a normal person would understand.
I understand. Was that here or somewhere else?
I believe at the time the person in question was living in Decula, but the sheriff's deputy was not in this jurisdiction. They were from a different jurisdiction.
Understood. Okay. Does that give you any pause or frustration with law enforcement in general, or just that one deputy that's a problem?
Yeah, to me, it just seemed like it was a single person had an issue, not law enforcement in general.
Have you ever witnessed a crime?
I have.
All right. Can you tell me about that?
It was a hit and run.
And I also asked a similar question or related one about giving a statement to the police.
Yes.
Did you have to give a statement in that case or something different?
I did have to give a statement in that case.
All right. And what was that like?
It was reasonable. The particular case was a work truck hit a car directly in front of me head on in an intersection. The driver was drunk and then fled the scene immediately. And the person who was hit claimed that they had a gun. And so police, and immediately assessing the situation, were rushing to figure out if they were dealing with an armed suspect or not. And then I didn't end up having to do anything in that case because I provided dash cam footage.
Okay. So you have a camera in your car?
Correct.
There was a question I think that Ms. Drake had asked about whether anybody had a family member or friend who had suffered from an overdose death.
Yes.
Can you tell me about that?
I had a friend, a relatively close friend from high school, who overdosed probably 4 years ago at this point. She had gone through rehab and gotten clean, and then came back and took as much as she was taking a heroin overdose, took as much as she had previously taken, and OD'd actually on Sunny Hill Road.
On Sunny Hill Road? Did you, when she was going through her addiction, did you know about it?
I did not until I heard about the news after the fact.
So really, you didn't know about the addiction and then she going to rehab and coming back until after everything had already passed?
Yeah, I knew that she had gone to rehab, but at the time, I and many of her, what we consider to be close friends, thought it was for alcoholism, and didn't know that she was into hard drugs like that until we found out about her accidental death.
So she also struggled with alcohol.
Correct.
Okay. And you saw signs of that. You saw behavior associated with the abuse of alcohol, and now looking back, the abuse of other drugs.
Correct.
Able to recognize that in somebody?
I would like to think so.
Is there anything you've heard today that makes you feel like you could be fair and impartial if you were previously a jury?
No, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
May have some questions for you.
Thank you, sir. I don't have any other questions.
Thank you so
Alright.
much.
If you would leave the microphone on the ledge, and if you would go with my bailiff Bob, or you can put it in the chair if that's easier. Patty, if you'll bring the next jury in. Good afternoon. If you would hold the microphone close to your mouth so that we can hear your answers, okay? Thank you.
Hi, Juror 36. You raised your card that you previously worked in healthcare?
Yeah, I do commercial plumbing and I work at hospitals. So
Okay.
just I've been around.
Okay,
bunch
so
of
you've done plumbing in hospitals?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do plumbing in hospitals.
Do you work solely in hospitals or all kinds of places?
Yeah, mainly in hospitals. Every once in a while, we'll go. I'll get to go somewhere else that's not a hospital, but it's mainly healthcare work.
And I think you said that you had a scheduling conflict.
I do.
Tell me what that is.
Next Friday, I have an appointment at Emory for a X-ray. I got to get a neck X-ray, and then that following Friday, I have a doctor's appointment with my endocrinologist.
Okay, so next Friday you have X-rays at Emory.
Yes. And then the following Friday, I have an appointment with my actual doctor.
Your X-rays next Friday. If you were selected, is that something that you could reschedule?
I potentially, but I've never been to this doctor before, so it's the first time like getting into seeing them. So
Okay.
they want to have all the information, I guess.
Okay, I understand.
I could probably reschedule, but I'd have to reschedule the whole appointment afterwards too.
Okay, I understand. And I think you said you have some friends or family in law enforcement.
Mhm.
Tell me who they are in relationship to you.
Well, the one guy I'm really close with, he's just a friend of mine. I work with him. He does weekend duties in Conyers.
In Conyers?
Mhm.
Okay, so is he with Conyers Police?
Yes.
Okay. Do you talk to him about his cases?
I mean, at work, yeah. He's told me some crazy stories, showed me a couple body cam videos, but that's about it.
Okay. And I think you raised your card that you know that area of Singleton and Indian Trail?
Mhm.
How do you know that area?
Driven down it a lot.
Did you grow up in Gwinnett? Where'd you go to high school?
I went to Brookwood.
And I think you said that you've been arrested before?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me what you were arrested for.
Possession,
Okay. Marijuana or something else?
marijuana.
Was that here in Gwinnett?
That was in Hart County.
Hart? Do you feel that you were treated fairly by law enforcement?
Once I got to the jail, yes.
Okay. Have those charges been resolved?
Yeah. That was almost 5 years ago.
And then I think you said you've also had a friend or family member arrested before? Who was that person to you that was arrested?
Multiple friends have been
Friends?
arrested. Yeah, friends. Someone in my family's probably been arrested. I don't know.
Okay.
Though, for sure.
I'm gonna need you to put the microphone closer to your mouth. Thank you.
Sorry.
That's okay. Patty, will you check and see if it's on? Just check, please. Okay. All right. Thank you.
And so you said you've also know someone who's been falsely accused before?
Yes.
Who was that for you?
Another buddy of mine.
Friend? Okay.
Yes.
And you know what they were falsely accused of?
Well, it wasn't falsely accused, but he had someone jump in front of his car.
Okay.
And he hit them at like 25, 30 miles an hour. And this security camera footage from the store ended up proving that he didn't do anything wrong and he was just going through the parking lot. But the cop said something about having to arrest him.
Okay.
So that's,
But it worked out. And
yeah, he got everything dropped.
Okay.
And
do you think he was treated fairly by the system after he got his charges taken care of?
I hope so. I didn't ask him
Okay.
those details.
And I know we talked about your arrest for marijuana, but you raised your card also for drug use. Was that for marijuana or other drugs too?
Yeah, just marijuana. Yeah.
Okay. And you also said that you've experienced someone close to you has died from overdose?
Died from No.
No. Okay.
No, they were able to be brought back and made a full recovery.
Okay. And you have some experience using the Life 360 app?
Mhm.
Tell me about how long you've used it.
I don't use it anymore, but I had it on my parents got me my phone or whatever.
Okay.
I think I had it then until basically when I graduated high school. So probably,
Okay. So your parents used it to kind of keep track of you?
yeah, keep track of all of us.
Okay. You have siblings?
Mhm.
How many siblings?
One.
What does your sibling do?
She's a student at Iowa State right now.
And you're familiar with the area of 316 and Drowning Creek also?
I believe so. I'm more familiar with the other intersection, but I know where Drowning Creek is.
And you or someone close to you has had an experience with law enforcement you feel that that person was unfair or was negative?
I don't know what you mean by that.
Okay.
I
Did
thought you
or
already asked that question. I'm very sorry.
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry. I thought you asked that question, or maybe it was a similar one.
Did you have an experience with the court system that you feel that, or the police treated you unfairly?
Oh, no.
No?
No.
Okay. Or someone else close to you, a family member or friend? Okay.
No, ma'am.
And you are a party to a lawsuit?
I am not.
You're not.
No, no, ma'am.
If you were selected to serve, you think that you could be fair and impartial?
I believe so.
And you haven't heard anything about this case?
No, ma'am. Which I'm kind of surprised, but
Thank you, sir.
yes, ma'am.
The defense may have some questions for you.
Hey, I just wanted to clarify something. When you talk about your doctor's appointments, are you talking about your first appointment being on the 7th with the next one on the 14th?
Oh no,
The 14th?
the 14th is my X-ray, and I believe it's the 21st. Yeah, that next Friday is my actual appointment.
Okay, thank you, sir.
All right, sir, if you would just leave the microphone either on the chair or on the ledge, and if you'll go with Bob. Patty, if you'll bring the next juror in. Thank you, sir. Certainly. My videographer, you are showing live streaming the faces of the jury as they're leaving. Would you like to see Mr. Delfont? Will you show him? I mean, I can't have that happen. That's my court order, and you cannot show, and my understanding is Fox 5 is live streaming this on their YouTube, and you are not allowed to film the jurors. So you need to do whatever you need to do, reposition the camera or whatever, so that you don't show the faces of the jurors. Okay? All right. Thank you. Juror number 37, do you see a microphone in the chair next to you? Yes, you already have it. Okay, if you'll put it up to your, close to your mouth, we need to hear your answer so that my court reporter can take those down, okay? The state may have some questions for you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon. How are you? Do you have, is English your second language? All right. And that microphone, you might want to check it. It may or may not be on.
It's not on.
The light is on, but it is not.
All right.
There's 2 more batteries in here. We got them out of a new box.
If you'll change them again.
Give us 1 minute.
I get nothing.
Would you- Try again. Try now.
The batteries might have been, actually, it's not even turned on now.
Did you push a button? I'll put these back in. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Patty. All right, let's try this again. How are you this afternoon?
Fine, how are you?
Good. It's a little bit better.
What is your native language?
Korean.
Have you been able to understand what the conversations that we were having earlier, the questions that I asked earlier?
Little bit.
How much do you think you understood?
Okay, if we count 1 through 10, and then maybe 5, something like
Maybe half?
Yes.
Okay. How long have you been here in the United States?
I've been here 46 years.
Okay. And how long have you been studying English?
Well, since I finished, I graduated high school in Korea, and then I haven't go to school since I've been here.
Okay. Are you concerned that you may not be able to understand what is happening here in the courtroom if you're picked to be a juror?
Yes, not all, because court language like law and hospital language is a little hard, difficult.
I think those are all the questions I have for you.
Okay, thank you.
Kids have any questions?
No questions, Judge.
Okay, thank you. All right, ma'am, if you will just leave the microphone and you'll go with that gentleman right there. Patty, if you'll bring in the next juror. You'll go with him right there. Thank you. That's fine. Thank you, ma'am. If you'll just come and sit in one of the chairs, there's a microphone there that I'm going to ask you to pick up. My court reporter is taking down everything that you say, and we just need to be able to hear you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hi, Juror 38.
Hi.
You have testified in court before?
Yes.
What was that for?
I previously worked for DFACS for about 6 months as a case manager, where I testified several times. And then I also did the same when I lived in Pennsylvania. I worked for the Children, Youth, and Families
where I testified several times.
How long did you 6 months for DPACs?
6 months for DFACS, and then when I lived in Pennsylvania, I worked there for about approximately 5 years.
Also doing case management?
Yes.
And you currently work as a property manager?
Yes, for a property management company, yes.
Okay, so what do you do for that?
I'm the assistant manager of an apartment community.
Okay. And in that capacity, you work with law enforcement?
No.
You haven't had to call police or talk for any?
I did have to call 911 for a resident who was having difficulty breathing.
Okay. And I think you said that you like to watch true crime shows?
Yes.
Do you know anything about this case?
I do not.
If selected for the jury, the judge would give you instructions that your decision has to be based solely on what you hear and see in the courtroom and the law that she gives you. Do you think you could follow that instruction?
Yes, I do.
And you could set aside anything you may have learned from those shows?
Yes.
And I think you raised, you said that you consider yourself more of a follower than a leader. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. If you were selected for this, for the jury, do you think that you could kind of hold your own for deliberations and sticking to your opinion?
Yes, I definitely have my own opinions on things. I just think I might not be the one to volunteer to be like the foreperson.
Okay. But would you voice your opinion if you disagree with some of the other jurors?
Yes.
And I think you also raised your card that you may have experimented with drugs when you were younger.
Yes.
Is that marijuana or something else?
Marijuana and alcohol.
How old were you?
High school age, so I would say maybe around 16, 17.
Anything that got to the point that law enforcement were involved?
No.
Or that you needed some sort of treatment?
No.
The areas that we talked about, do you know that area of Singleton and Indian Trail?
I do not know that specific intersection, or
Okay.
I don't know.
If selected for the jury, think you could be fair and impartial?
I do.
Anything you think that we should know that we didn't ask you?
No, I don't think so.
Thank you.
All right, the defense may have some questions for you.
Thank you, ma'am. They covered all my questions.
If you would just leave the microphone and go with my bailiff Bob that way. And Patty, if you'll bring the next juror in. Oh, yeah. Thank you. All right, if you just come on in and if you'll go a couple seats down, there's a microphone that I'm going to ask you to speak into, but we're not going to ask you to sing.
Okay.
All right, we just need you to speak in that microphone so my court reporter can take everything down.
All right, you're juror number 39?
That's correct.
All right, how are you today?
Okay.
All right. So I'm just going to follow up on a few questions from earlier. And then also based on your questionnaire, you've been here in Gwinnett for 24 years, approximately?
Almost 25, yeah.
25. Where are you originally from?
Originally from New York.
And then you have, let's say, 2 children, 2 girls, 31 and 34-year-old?
Correct.
All right. They attend high school here in Gwinnett?
They did.
Where do they go to high school at?
Went to Mill Creek.
Let's see. Have you heard anything about this case at all prior to coming?
No, I haven't.
And have you served on a jury before?
Yes, I have.
Now, where was it?
It was in Gwinnett County.
Do you remember how long ago it was?
I don't remember the exact date, but it has to be over 10 years ago.
Do you recall if the subject matter was criminal or civil?
It was a criminal case.
What do you think about the experience?
It was long.
Yeah.
7 days, I think.
Okay. Now, did you serve as a foreperson?
No.
Sometimes jurors are not required to reach a verdict. But were you guys required to reach a verdict?
Yeah, I think we were. They,
Tell me what it is, just whether or not y'all were able to reach a verdict.
we were able to reach a verdict.
Okay. You have not called 911, right?
No.
True crime series, like First 48 and other, cold case files, shows like that. You enjoy those?
Sometimes.
What is it about them that you like?
The investigative process, that's all.
Which one's your favorite?
I mean, we watch those Dateline things that have some other ones. I can't remember the names.
I think those were all the questions that you raised your card to. You are an engineering manager, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. What kind of industry?
We're in refrigeration.
And how long have you done that?
37 years.
Do you hire and fire anybody?
I'm part of the process, but I can't actually fire somebody. It has to go through HR and another process.
Okay. What part of the process are you in? What role do you
Interviewing process for people that are going to work in the department or some other departments if managers need help. But HR is involved in all the whole process.
Kind of part of the hiring team?
If there's an opening and it's a technical position.
Do you ever get involved in terminations?
Sometimes, yeah.
How do you make the decision? You're part of the hiring team, so you've got some input there, but how do you give your input about whether to hire somebody or not?
Well, first, there's a process you have to go through as a performance improvement plan. So HR, you put that together with the manager of that person. And then after a certain amount of time, if it doesn't work out, then you can let that person go.
Okay, so that there's steps.
There's steps that have to be taken. It's not, you don't walk into someone's office and say you're fired.
And then in the terms of hiring, when you decide to bring somebody on board, how do you determine whether this person's good or not, even though you don't really know them?
Well, it depends on the credentials of the resume, and they're screened by HR professionals in the company, and then they bring a group of people to us.
Okay. Is there anything you've heard today that makes you feel like if you were picked to be a juror, you couldn't be a fair juror?
No, not today, no.
Thank you, sir.
All right, the defense may have some questions for you, sir.
Hello?
So you stated that there's a process with hiring and firing, specifically firing. Are you the first person who makes the decision to start that process?
If it's someone in my immediate department, yes.
Have you had to do that before?
No, I haven't had to do that yet.
I don't have any.
Okay. Sir, if you will leave the microphone on the ledge or on the chair and go with my bailiff, Bob. Bob? Okay. Would you bring juror number 40 out? Thank you. Just for scheduling, I'm going to stop at juror 42. Ma'am, if you'll just come at these front row of seats in the jury box, and you can sit down, juror number 40, with the microphone near you. And if you'll hold the microphone up to so that we can hear your answers for my court reporter to take them down. We're not going to ask you to sing.
Okay, great.
Okay. Unless you want to.
No, thank you.
The state may have some questions for you.
Hi, Juror 40.
You're a teacher?
Yes.
What school do you teach at?
Oakland Middle School.
Do you teach a certain grade or subject?
Yes, 9 through 12, special education.
Have you always been at Oakland Middle?
No.
Where else have you taught?
I've been in DeKalb County, so mhm.
All high school and middle school
No,
special ed?
mainly elementary school,
Okay.
and this is my second high school.
Okay.
It's not really a high school, but it's all special ed school that I'm at now. So.
Okay.
Mhm.
And you indicated on a questionnaire that you previously, you or someone close to you was a victim of a crime?
Yes. So it's my mom's friend. So it's not someone like directly, but she was murdered.
Your mom's friend was murdered. I'm sorry about that. Was that here in Gwinnett?
No,
And was that recently or when you were a kid?
that was like before I was even born.
Okay. And I think you put on your questionnaire that your mom was robbed.
Yeah, when she was in California.
Okay. And were you present for that?
That was before I was even born.
And I think you also raised your card that you or someone close to you has been a victim of a rape or sexual abuse.
Yes, my older sister.
The person who did that to your sister, is that a family member, a friend, or a stranger?
My biological father.
I'm sorry that your family experienced that. Were police involved for that?
Yes.
Did you have to talk to police?
Well, I was a child.
Okay.
So she's the oldest, and that wasn't her biological father. So.
Okay.
Mhm.
But you didn't have to get interviewed by police?
No.
Or go to court? Anything about that experience with what your sister went through that you think would make it difficult for you to serve as a juror?
No, not necessarily. No, yeah.
All we're trying to find out if you
Oh.
can be fair and impartial if
Oh.
you were selected. Do you think that you can be fair?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you know anything about this case that we've been talking about?
No.
And I think you also raised your card that a family member or friend has been arrested.
Yes.
Who was that in relation to?
My husband.
What was your husband charged with?
Well, it was really falsely accused, but then he was, of stealing from the store that he worked at the time.
Okay. Did he get arrested in Gwinnett?
No. Mm-mm.
Somewhere else? In Georgia?
Yes, in Georgia.
And did you go to court with your husband?
I didn't know him at that time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have the charges been worked out?
Oh, it's been expunged.
Okay.
Mhm.
So you weren't together, but he's talked to you about what happened? Okay.
Yes.
And do you feel like he was treated fairly?
I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure
I
to
understand.
answer that. Yeah.
Does your spouse work?
Yes.
What does he do?
He works in IT.
And no children. The areas that we talked about in this case, you're familiar with those areas?
No.
Okay. That's okay. Anything that you think we should know that will prevent you from serving?
No.
Anything you think that would prevent you from being able to be fair? Thank you, ma'am.
The defense may have some questions for you, ma'am.
I just have one follow-up question, and I'm sure she asked it, I just didn't catch the answer. Have you heard anything about this case?
No.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right. If you would leave the microphone either on the ledge or on the table, on the chair, and go with my deputy Bob. And Patty, will you bring in juror number 41? Ma'am, I'm going to ask you to pick up the microphone and put it close to your mouth so we can catch your answers, okay?
Okay,
Right. How are you doing?
good. How are you?
I'm good. I just want to follow up on a few questions that we asked earlier.
Okay,
But before I get there, I see you have 2 children,
I do.
a boy and a girl,
Mm-hmm.
7 and 9 years old.
Yes.
And you have been born and raised here in Gwinnett County.
Mm-hmm.
Where'd you go to high school?
I went to Parkview and then I went to Brookwood.
And you live here in Lawrenceville now?
I do.
Is that where you, is Lawrenceville where you grew up?
I was born at Gwinnett Hospital.
Okay, very good. So very close by. You work currently as a bartender.
I do.
All right. And how long have you done that?
For about a year.
All right. Before that, what kind of work did you do?
My waitress.
And all right, have you heard anything about this case? Just going through to make sure I didn't miss anything. You, what I called true crime shows or documentary crime shows, things like that. I put down here that you had raised your card that you like watching those.
I do. Forensic Files.
Okay. What do you like about it?
It's just interesting. It puts me to sleep.
Okay. So usually when you're tired, want to go to bed? Okay. But you find it interesting to watch and the investigation and stuff like that into crimes?
I do, but I never want to be a part of an investigation. So.
Okay. But great to watch from a distance. Okay. Now, there was a question I asked about whether, and maybe you raised your card to this, when you were younger, a kid, did you ever run away? Wow, why'd you do that?
I was just, I don't know, a hellion, I guess.
Okay.
So
17 years old?
I would skip school and all that stuff.
And so when you would run away, would you go far, or obviously you came back home at some point? Police bring you, or did you come back on your own?
No, I came back on my own.
How far did you go before you decided to turn around and go back?
Over. That's right.
And when I use the term run away, would you be going and staying with friends or hanging out with other people, stuff like that? Okay. Let's see. Have anybody who treated unfairly by the police? Anybody you know that was treated unfairly by the police or the criminal justice system? I had asked a question if there was anybody that just kind of didn't like the police,
Oh,
just
well,
based on things.
I'm sorry, I don't know anything about the law, and it makes me very uncomfortable to even be in this room.
Okay. And I'm sorry. I'm really not trying to make it uncomfortable. I try to make it as comfortable as we can. But can you explain that to me just a little bit? When you say you don't know a lot about the law, so you feel uncomfortable, how does that make you feel?
I just don't like police. I don't like any type of situation like this. I already suffer from like anxiety, panic attacks, so I'm just not big on this kind of stuff.
And I can understand that. Is there anything specific that you've experienced or that people you know that have experienced with the police that caused you to feel that way?
I have to answer that. Some of these questions that you've asked, I really haven't felt really comfortable to answer them. So.
And I need to ask a related question to that. Well, why is it that you don't feel comfortable?
Because I don't feel like it's anybody's business.
Okay. Well, and I can understand that. Are you a private individual? And I can respect that. I can understand that. The problem that we have here is that for folks who get called to serve as a juror, it's our obligation, the court system's obligation, to ensure that we have a fair and impartial jury, right? People who are not interested in the outcome. And sometimes to determine that, we've got to ask some questions that are a little bit invasive, right? That go into people's private business.
we're not trying to do it just to be nosy. We just want to make sure that everybody gets a fair trial, the defendant, the state, everybody. And so I know it's uncomfortable about these things, but it is something that we have to explore and talk about. Okay?
Well, I don't really feel comfortable in being a part of deciding somebody's fate.
And so I can understand that too. I have kind of a follow-up question about that.
If you were selected to be a juror and you had to sit here and listen to all of the evidence, at the conclusion, the judge is going to charge you with the law and tell you that you have to go make a decision about the guilt or innocence of the accused or the defendant. And essentially, another way of putting that is that you have to determine whether the state met its burden, whether we presented enough evidence to prove beyond reasonable doubt the charges. And you're going to go in the back and have to discuss that with the other jurors. Is that something you're willing to do?
No.
Okay. And when you say no, you're going to go back there and not cast a vote? Is that?
I just don't feel comfortable being a part of anything. Comfortable.
Well, and I can understand that. And I'm pushing the issue here because I need a clear answer from you, and I'm sorry. But when you say you're uncomfortable by it, does that mean that you won't do it? Or simply it just makes you anxious and you don't like it?
I won't do it.
Well, I certainly can appreciate your honesty, and I'm sorry to have to put you on the spot about these kind of things. It's just part of the process and how things have to work. Okay? All right, thank you.
Students have any questions?
No questions from the president.
Okay. Ma'am, if you will leave the microphone on the ledge. And if you'll go with my bailiff, Bob. And thank you. And if you'll bring in the next, juror number 42. Good evening. If you would grab that microphone, I think it may be a little bit out of reach. There you go. My court reporter's taking down everything and we've got to be able to hear your answers, okay?
Hi, Juror 42. Just gonna ask you a few questions, follow up to your answers. You work in banking?
I do.
Okay, what do you do?
So first I'm a real estate agent, and then
Okay.
I'm also a community lending specialist.
Tell me what a community lending specialist does.
So we find what the need is in the community, whether it's more loans, getting minorities, or just finding what the business, what the need in the community is.
Awesome.
So whether it's loans or small business loans. Yeah.
And you have one teenage son?
I do.
Okay. What school does your son go to?
He goes to Pickneyville Middle School.
And I think you said that you have heard something about this case or have some information about it?
I did. I heard about it on the news.
Okay. Something that you heard about like once or twice, or you followed up and followed the story?
It came on the news station probably about twice.
Okay.
I didn't do any type of individual research on it. I just thought it was sad.
If selected for the jury, the judge would instruct you that you have to make a decision based on solely what you hear and see in this courtroom and set aside what you knew from the news or anywhere else. Do you think you could follow those instructions?
I think so, yes.
Okay. And I think you also raised your hand that you may have run away as a kid.
I did.
How old were you when you?
I was a teenager.
Okay.
I would say
Like ran away for a couple hours, a couple of nights, or
a couple of nights.
A couple nights, okay. Something where you just went to a friend's house or?
A friend's house.
Okay.
Yeah, just wanted to get away.
Okay.
So
did police have to get involved or just your family?
Well, my parents did go to the police office. But at that time I was over a certain age, so they didn't put out a missing person or anything.
Okay. So you just eventually went home. Okay. And I think you said that you have given a statement to police before?
Yes, I have.
What was that for?
Well, me and my son's father had got into a physical altercation.
Okay.
And I had to give my side of the story as
Okay.
well. And
Was
just gave my side of the story.
was anyone charged with that incident?
He was taken to jail.
Okay.
He did not get charged though.
Do you feel that law enforcement handled the situation appropriately?
I do. I do.
And I think you also said someone in your family has been arrested. Was that your son's father or someone else?
That was my son's father.
Your son's father. Okay. Was that for that incident or something else?
Well, he's had some time, some troubled times.
Okay.
So yeah, it's been some times where he's been locked up multiple times.
Okay. And his arrest, have you gone to court for any of those incidents?
No. With the domestic case, the state pressed charges, and I just wrote a letter to the judge stating what happened and that, we were just, young adults having a disagreement and, we won't do it again and that type of thing. And they dropped the charges.
Okay. His other arrest, do you know what those charges were for?
I think it was like drug possession.
Okay. Do you feel that he was treated fairly in those incidents?
I wasn't there when he was arrested, so I can't speak on that.
Okay. And I think you also said that you've had a child suspended from school. That's your son?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you tell me what your child was suspended for?
He was playing around with the kid in the classroom, and he pushed the kid by just playing, and the kid hit his head.
So
and
boys fighting.
Yeah, boys just playing too rough, too hard. Yeah. So.
And you also watch true crime shows?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
But you don't know anything about this one? You have this case?
No, I haven't seen this one.
What type of shows do you watch?
The First 48. I do watch CSI, Chicago Med, Chicago PD.
And again, you think you could follow the judge's instructions and kind of put aside anything you learned on those shows about investigating cases? And you think that you can be fair and impartial if you're selected?
Yes.
Anything you think that we should know that would prevent you from serving?
Late nights, I can't do late nights, after 5, 6 o'clock.
Okay.
But that doesn't,
You have to pick up your child?
I do.
What time do you have to pick up your child? Okay. But if we get you out of here by 6, you think you're good? Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
The defense may have some questions for you.
Hi, I just wanted to clarify one thing. You said that you had seen several different news reports on this case. Anything in particular, without going into specifically what it is, that you remember about the case, or are you just talking in general if you know about the case?
I just remember it was in Gwinnett County, and it was close to home. So, and he was a police officer. I do know that. Just little things here and there, but it's it's been quite some time. So so I don't remember everything.
So are you going to be able to separate out what you may recall later on from the news articles and just concentrate on what is presented in this courtroom and render a verdict based upon that?
I believe I can. I can focus on the facts.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
All right, ma'am, if you will leave the microphone in the chair or on the ledge, that'll be fine. If you'll go with Bob, who is over there. Thank you. And Bob, could you bring jurors 43 through 60 into the courtroom? Thank you. I'm going to ask everyone in the courtroom to move to the back rows. I've got 20 jurors coming in.
Are they outside right now?
They should be.
Okay.
That's what I asked for. That's what I asked for. So I'm hoping that that is
It's affirmative.
okay. Are they coming in or do you want to go check? Thank you.
No.
Absolutely. I enjoy it.
Oh, yes.
Will attorneys approach while we're waiting on jurors 43 through 60? I have.
We're ready.
Okay, just bring them in. They don't have to be in order. They just need to come in and sit in the courtroom. All right, good evening. I should have jurors 43 through 60. So if you're numbered higher than 43, you should not be in here. So 43 through 60. Unfortunately, we did not get to your individual questioning today. We're going to be starting first thing in the morning. I'm going to need you to be here at check-in at 8:45 a.m. tomorrow. We plan to start right at 9. So please understand that if you're late or you do not show up, you're violating a court order. We can't get started without all of you being here. You are under court order that you are not to look up social media. You're not to look up websites, blogs, internet, or any news about this case. You're not to watch any true crime stories about this case or any news stories about this case. You are not to look up the scene, and you are not to look up, post anything on social media that you are being considered as a juror in this case. So if you go home and you have loved ones who have the news on, you need to be away from it in another room where you cannot hear it and you cannot see it, or it has to be turned off. So I will see you all, need to be here by 8:45. Certainly. All right, we will see you in jury assembly by 8:45. Please consider traffic and going through security. All right.
I need your numbers and you need cash, so I'll check in this morning.
Okay. All right, so you're gonna go with Eddie, correct? To Nash. All right? And then,
And in the
thank you very
morning,
much.
you'll come back to Nash, and your numbers will be in your chairs.
Okay, thank you very much. If you'll leave with Eddie. All right, Patty, if you would arrange for jurors 16 through 42 to be brought to the lobby. 16 through 42. Okay? All right. Are there any motions? Okay, hold on, Patty. Sorry. All right. Any motions from the state on jurors 29 through 42?
Yes, Your Honor. I previously spoke with counsel for the defendant, Ms. Drake. She and I believe, agree on all four of the state's motions to strike for cause. The first one, and I'll just make a brief record, number 29, juror number 29, state is moving to strike him for cause. He indicated that he has made up his mind and it cannot be changed. And I believe he said he made up his mind in terms of guilty, but regardless of whichever way he made up his mind, it doesn't make a difference. I will also note that he articulated some significant memory issues and appeared to have, not to be rude, but some cognitive issues during the questioning.
All right,
So
I will
strike him for cause.
I will strike juror number 29 for cause, and that is a joint motion from state and defense, correct, Ms. Drake?
Yes,
Just for the record, okay?
Just the next one, state is moving to strike for cause, juror number 31. He indicated he saw the first 48 episode, that he had thought to himself that the defendant, the guy in there, was guilty, and he wouldn't change his mind no matter really what happened here in court. He did waver on that slightly, that maybe some evidence would change his mind, but essentially it was burden shifting in that the defendant had to prove his innocence. So I'm moving to strike for cause, juror number 31.
No objection.
Okay, and I'm striking juror number 31 for cause. Both the prosecution and the defense agree and concur in that motion.
Judge, juror number 37 is the state's next motion, strike for cause. The young lady was originally from Korea and had a very limited understanding of English, I believe, when asked. She gave a 1 to 10 scale and said she understood about 5. Also, just my observation of